Right. So, good evening, everyone. Can you guys hear me? Right. Okay, then. So we'll start the session for today, and we will start the session for today. So today we'll be discussing two important topics. Basically, the most important can pair, but these are two important topics of the lesson: dengue and filaria. Right? Dengue and filaria are very important topics of this lesson, where MCQs have been asked and even structured essays have been asked from this section. And I remember even short notes in the essay section, if even short notes have been asked. Right. So let's go through these sections and see what we have. Right. Okay. So last week we stopped from food preservation. Right. Food preservation. Tika bhagyak kalla. We had to stop the class. So now we'll first finish off that. Then go into post-harvest process and then start dengue and filaria. Right? Okay, right. So from the food preservation methods, what were the ones that we discussed already? What are the ones that we discussed already? What are they? The methods that we discussed already? Can anyone remember? The methods that we discussed already? Yeah, okay, we did freezing and chilling. What else? What are the other methods of food preservation that we discussed? Drying, okay, drying, thermal treatment, freezing, chilling. Okay, what else? What else? What else? What else? Pasteurization, right? So we discussed drying, thermal heat, thermal treatment, pasteurization, and freezing and chilling, right? So those are the sections that we discussed last week. So today we'll be going into these sections: salting and drying, addition of sugar, smoking, smoking the food, chemicals, and preservation of food through radiation, right? So මෙතනින් ඇත්තටම ගත්තොත් when we consider these three, salting and drying, and addition of sugar, ඒ තුනේම mainly වෙන්නේ we remove the water, right? We remove the water present in the food, right? So salting can basically අපි ගත්තොත් sometimes meats are salted, right? When you salt meat, what happens is basically you apply salt in the meat or cover it by salt. එතකොට මොකද්ද වෙන්නේ? The water potential outside the meat will reduce, right? The water potential outside the meat will reduce, and that leads to water moving from the meat towards the outside, right? එතකොට මොකද්ද වෙන්නේ? Right. So එතකොට මොකද්ද වෙන්නේ? When water leaves the meat, what happens is microorganisms cannot grow in it. So basically මේ method එකේ we don't essentially kill the microorganisms. මේ methods ටිකේ method we don't essentially kill the microorganisms. We mainly inhibit their growth. මොකද මෙතන microorganisms ලා enter වෙන එක නවත්තන්නෙත් නෑ. We don't prevent the entrance of microorganisms, or we don't actually kill them, but they are largely inhibited. But මේකේ මැරෙන්න පුළුවන්. Okay, because basically the water is an essential condition, right? Water is an essential condition for the growth of microorganisms. So when you remove water, their growth is suppressed, and also they might even die, right? So salting, when you cover a meat with salt, it creates a certain osmotic pressure, osmotic stress on the outside, where that leads to water moving out of the meat, right? So salting also is an older form of preserving raw food. Salting has the ability to suck the moisture out of food through process of osmosis. Food moves out through osmosis. When the food is totally dry from salting, growth of microorganisms are inhibited. So growth of microorganisms are inhibited. I mean, totally dry කියන්නේ sometimes some moisture remains as well, right? So meat is commonly preserved through salting, right? Salting and drying can basically, it's like the same thing like salting, but basically what you do is you salt, like me කරවල ආල්මැස්සෝ ඔය වගේ දේවල් salting and drying ඉඳලා preserve කරන්නේ. ඒගොල්ලෝ මොකද කරන්නේ? They apply salt and keep it under the sun, or provide a certain form of heat so that the process of water removal is stimulated. Stimulated can it's enhanced, right? Because the salting will anyway take out the water from the meat. Ne? So the process of removing water will be enhanced when it's drying, right? So karavala and the palmas may salting and drying method, right? Basically when the fishermen go into the deep seas to fish, what happens is they have to wait there for a long period of time. So sometimes the fish might get spoiled if they wait, if they stay in the deep seas for a long period of time. So to prevent that, what they do is they apply some salt on the fish, or basically apply now because the fish are anyway living in salty water, right? They are anyway living in salty water, so they just randomly dry them, right? They randomly dry them. Carabal him saman ඔයගොල්ලෝ අහලා තියෙනවද දන්නේ මේක? ඔයගොල්ලෝ අහලා තියෙනවද boat to carabal කියන්නේ? අහලා තියෙනවද boat to carabal? Boat to carabal අහලා තියෙනවද? නිවන් yeah, right? Boat to carabal කියන්නේ boat එකේම dry කරන කරවල, right? Boat එකේම dry කරන කරවල, right? So ඒ වගේ they apply salt, or basically salty water වලින් කොහොමද තින්නේ, and they dry it so that the process of water removal is enhanced. Okay, so in preparation of dried fish, fish are first salted and then dried under the sun. Addition of salt makes the removal of water fast, and the salt inhibits microbial growth on fish even though some moisture is still remaining, right? So we process again when both salting and drying occur at the same time, right? Then addition of sugar, this also is a form of removing water, right? Again, when you sugar some products, when you sugar the products, or sugar fruits and all that, what happens is they remove the moisture, right? Because it creates a certain osmotic stress, and water is removed from that food, and it will be preserved because microorganism growth is inhibited. But other than that, another form of preserving through sugar is basically you can coat them, or sometimes these fruits and all that are glazed with sugar syrup, right? They are made candies out of these sugar syrup. Or sugar is covered, or sugar covers these fruits and all that to make candies. So basically they provide this protective covering, right? It's not just only removing the water, but also they provide this protective covering. Okay, so from sugar, they got okay. Again, prevents the entry of microorganisms by providing a protective covering. And the other thing is that they also create a certain osmotic stress so that water is lost from the fruit, or that thing that they cover with sugar. So sugar is used in syrup form to preserve fruits, and in crystallized form to preserve some food items like ginger and orange peel, right? So ginger and orange peel are covered by these crystallized මොනවද මේ sugar. ඔය ඔයගොල්ලෝ අහලා තියෙයි ඔය අවුරුද්දට කන්නේ මොනවද මේ පුහුල් දෝසි කියන එක අහලා තියෙනවද? පුහුල් දෝසි අහලා තියෙනවනේ, කාලා තියෙනවනේ අවුරුද්දට. කාලා තියෙනවද නැද්ද? Yeah. So puhul dosi again, basically this ash pumpkin is covered by this sugar, right? Ash pumpkin is covered by this sugar. So even though puhul dosi, so crystallized sugar is used to cover this ash pumpkin, right? So some fruits are glazed with sugar syrup for the fruits to get a superficial protective coating, right? Superficial protective coating. Then some fresh fruits are cooked with sugar and then dried, right? Cooked with sugar and then dried. High sucrose concentration produces an osmotic stress on the microorganisms and protects the food from microbial spoilage, right? So that osmotic stress basically means microorganisms, their growth is inhibited because water is removed. Okay, so that's about addition of sugar. Okay, then smoking. Smoking thought, smoked ham, smoked chicken, smoked kill. Right? So this is the food preservation method. Syllabus only food preservation method that cooks, flavors, and preserves. Right? Cooks, flavors, and preserves through smoking. Right? It's just something that we talk in our syllabus. As an example for this, right? Cooks, flavors, and preserves the food. Now it's smoking. Okay. Exposing it to smoke from burning wood, right? So again, another thing is this flavor can basically you can use different types of wood. sometimes they use these cinnamon wood, right? Cinnamon wood to to smoke these meats, and sometimes they get the cinnamon flavor. සමහරලාට මේ මට ෂුවර් නෑ ඔය apple wood පාවිච්චි කරනවා කියන I'm not sure about that, but sometimes according to the different woods that they use, the smoke gets a different scent, and so the meat gets a new flavor, right? So ඒ වගේ smoking is used to flavor the meat, right? Flavor, cooks, and also preserves. Preserve කරන්නේ කොහොමද? Because smoke is an antimicrobial and antioxidant, right? It's an antimicrobial and antioxidant, right? Antimicrobial and antioxidant, right? Antimicrobial and antioxidant. So what they do is එකක් තමයි inhibits the growth of microorganisms, අනිත් එක තමයි they might even kill the microorganisms because it is an antimicrobial and antioxidant. Okay, so smoking cooks, flavors, and preserves. That's important. Remember that. And smoke is an antimicrobial and antioxidant, right? And most often meat and fish are preserved by smoking. The aroma generated by hydrocarbons of burning wood. According to the wood type used, the flavor and the taste of the meat will change. Okay, enhances the taste and flavor and adds smokiness to the meat or fish while preserving. Right. That's about smoking. Then chemicals. So chemicals are preserved like pickles and all that, right? Pickles and all that. තමුණත් තියෙන ඔය කාලේ තියෙන ලුණු දෙහි කියන ඒවා එහෙම ලුණු දෙහි and ඔය විනාගිරි දාලා preserve කරනවා කියන්නේ විනාගිරි is vinegar නේ, vinegar has acetic acid, right? So ඒ වගේ මේ chemicals are used to inhibit the growth of microorganisms, mainly growth. Chemicals are used to inhibit mainly the growth of microorganisms, but it also might even kill microorganisms. Okay, දෙකම කරන්න පුළුවන්. It's like අපිට කියන්න බෑ does prevents the entry of microorganisms කියලා. Even though microorganisms enter, these chemicals will either inhibit the growth of microorganisms or kill them. Okay, so chemicals inhibit the growth and activity of microorganisms, while some chemical compounds can even kill the microorganisms. So එකක් තමයි inhibits growth and activity, and it might even kill. So examples are preservation of fruit juice and production of pickles using chemicals such as sodium benzoate, EDTA, acetic acid, and brine solution. Right? So ඒක නම් ගොඩක් නෑ. Right, then preservation of food through radiation. Now, may method එක ගත්තොත් this is kind of important. This is kind of important where actually food is preserved by killing the microorganisms. ඒගොල්ලෝ kill කරන්නේ කොහොමද? They will actually alter the DNA of microorganisms, right? Alter the DNA of microorganisms. This radiation ගත්තොත් you get gamma, ultraviolet, X-rays, ඔය high energy radiations තියෙනවානේ. They will actually alter and affect the DNA of the microorganisms, right? They will alter and affect the DNA of microorganisms. ඒක තමයි අත්තන mainly ඔය radiation link වෙන්නේ. You learned this in unit 9 microbiology ඉගෙන ගන්න. But this is the main මොකද අපි කියන්නේ main concept or main principle under preserving food through radiation. Okay, so radiation used in processing food materials is limited to radiations from high energy gamma rays, X-rays, and X-ray electrons. So these are important. You need to know what type of radiations are used. Gamma rays, X-rays, and X-rated electrons. Processing of food by radiation involves exposure of food to shortwave radiations to achieve a specific purpose, such as extension of shelf life, insect disinfectation, elimination of foodborne pathogens and parasites. So, what is the purpose of preserving food through radiation? And you might get a structured essay question asking, state the purpose of preserving food through radiation. Then you need to mention that it's the extension of shelf life. Extension of shelf life again, basically, shelf spice packets and all that. They need to have an extended shelf life. It's lost, right? And disinfestation can basically insects line food items. When you apply radiation, it will kill the insects and eliminate foodborne pathogens and parasites. So you can eliminate and kill these foodborne parasites and pathogens by applying radiation, right? Radiation, because it will directly alter the DNA. Right? It will directly alter the DNA. So packet of spices, ground meat, etc. are preserved through radiation. Okay. So what I highlighted was the important topics. I mean, preserving food through radiation. This will actually kill the microbes, right? Kill it. Inhibit they kill the microbes directly. Right. So was it clear? Was it clear? Was it clear? What about the others? How was it? Yeah, yeah. Salting is like a dehydrating agent. Yeah, that's correct. So salting basically sucks out the moisture and all the water from the food. It's like a dehydrating agent. That's good. Yeah, that's good. Yeah. Okay. Right. Then let's try a question. So 2024, well, you have got two MCQs. From Unit 10 and 2023 වලත් you got two MCQs. So 2023 වලත් yeah 2023 වලත් දෙකයි 2024 වලත් දෙකයි 2022 වලත් දෙකයි. So ඔයගොල්ලන්ගේ එකෙත් දෙකක් expect කරන්න O3. Preservation of food through radiation, is it harmful for consumption as well? Not actually. Preservation of food through radiation, no. දැන් අපි ගත්තොත් food item එක no, it's not harmful because if food item එක disinfectant එකනේ ඒක ප්‍රශ්නයක් නෑ. But if you are exposed to radiations, that's not good, right? But usually look එහෙම risk එකක් ගැන කතා කරන්නේ when you take in food that was preserved through the disinfect through radiation. Okay? මොකද එතන ඉතින් ලොකුවට alteration එකක් වෙන්නේ නෑ because food is anyway non-living නේ. And anyway it goes into the digestive system නේ. Right? So ඒක නිසා එතන ලොකු risk එකක් එන්නේ නෑ අතට. Right. Let's try this question then. Try this question. It's the 39th question from the 2020 4 LL paper. Try it. I want everyone to answer. Right. Okay. Good. 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 Well, two methods that preserve food by destroy microorganisms are drying and use of chemicals. Drying doesn't actually destroy microorganisms, right? It just inhibits the action, right? So, ඒක වැරදි. Use of chemicals might kill them. Chilling and smoking. So, chilling actually again doesn't kill them, right? It just slows down them and slow inhibits their growth. Smoking, does it kill? I mean, does it kill microorganisms? එහෙම දීලා නෑනේ. දීලා නැහැ, but since it's antibiotic, antibiotic නිසා we can take it that it kills නේ. So ඒකත් වැරදි because chilling is anyway not destroying the microorganisms. Salting and use of chemicals, again salting well, no, you don't kill the microorganisms, they are inhibited. Freezing and sugaring, freezing well, again you don't kill the microorganisms even in sugaring. Radiation and heat treatment is the answer, where radiation will kill the microorganisms by these DNA alterations, and heat treatment will directly kill them because they cannot tolerate high temperatures. Right? Okay, that's the only past paper question. Let's see some other questions. Try this question. Smoking can kill the microbes නේද? මොකද it's an antioxidant and antimicrobial නේ. So antimicrobials ගන්න ඇත්තටම to kill microorganisms. Right? So ඒක නිසා it can kill microorganisms actually. Okay? What's the answer for this? Hey, I'm getting answers. එකේ වෙන බයි but බලමු. Right, let's see. I think most of you got it correct. So DNS. DNS mean DNS. Right, radiation, meat. Okay, that's not wrong. S. High energy gamma rays. Why is that wrong? Radiation meat. Radiation, it's not meat. And they specifically mention that it's ground meat. Okay, they specifically mention that it's ground meat. Okay, so you need to mention that it's not just meat, it's ground meat. Okay, but other than that, it's correct. But ground meat, meat nisayaka varadi. COQ. C is drying, yes. O is ground meat. Drying වලින් you don't preserve ground meat ne. I have not put this there. Drying වලින් තියෙන basically hams, right? Hams are meats preserved through ovens. So that's the only example given. It's in the page before this. Okay, hams ne දිය තියෙන්නේ. Yeah, right. Hams, drying or thermal treatment. Sorry, yeah, right. Hams දීලා තියෙන. So that's again wrong. Ground meat නෙමෙයි. And Q ගත්තොත් delay microbial growth. That's correct. Drying වලින් can delay microbial growth because moisture is sucked out. That's correct. So make a වැරදි because it's not ground meat. CLP. C drying L oats. Okay. P suck moisture. එහෙම example දීලා නැහැ. Right? එහෙම example දීලා නැහැ. B and P. B is salting. Yes. N is meat. Okay. And P is suck moisture. So that's the correct answer. Ne? So salting wala the meat is commonly preserved through salting and salting will suck the moisture out, right? So fourth one is correct. Haha, AMR. A thermal treatment, M is dry. Okay, and R is harmful pathogens are killed. So M I don't think the example is given. Thermal treatment වල නෑ. එහෙම example එක දීලා නෑනේ. Right? So you can't take it. So fourth one is the best option. Okay, it's the correct option actually according to our resource book.
And
Right.
don't speak in Vandichi. Don't speak in.
And you mute your mic. මට can do it. Mic soon වුණාද බලන්න පොඩ්ඩක්. Right. Try this question as well. Right. Try this question. One is wrong because radiation Walter meat is not given as an example. It's ground meat, ne? Right? It's ground meat. So uh, fourth one would be the correct answer. But meat කියලා I don't think that they give it actually. The ground meat කියලා specifically තියෙන නිසා. Okay. So mention that it's ground meat that is preserved by radiation, not meat. Right. Send answers for this question then. No, meat is any kind of meat. Ground meat කියන්නේ අර ground කියන්නේ නිකන් මේ mince කරනවා වගේ කියන එක. So ඒකයි ඒගොල්ලෝ කියන්නේ. Right? So be specific. That's what the question is expecting. Okay. Even when writing a structure, they say meat කියලා විතර ලියන්න එපා radiation එව state that it's ground meat. Be careful. Okay, they're asking for the incorrect statement, not the correct one. Incorrect statement එක අහන්නේ. Right, let's see. Say the incorrect statement regarding method of preservation. In preservation of dried fish is first dried in the sun, then salted. No, it's first salted, then dried in the sun. Okay, so that's wrong. Osmotic stress is produced in microorganisms due to high sucrose concentrations during sugaring. Yes, osmotic stress is generated. Hams are an example of meat preserved through drying ovens. Yes, drying are the other example like hams. During salting and drying, some moisture is left in the flesh. Yes, 100% moisture is not lost. Some moisture can be left. Only high energy radiations are used to process food materials. No. Sorry, no name hari. Only high energy radiations are used to process food materials. It's given here even. The type of radiation used in food processing is limited to radiations from high energy gamma rays. Again, basically, it's limited to high energy radiation, right? So only high energy radiations are used. Okay. Even with a short wave radiation, wavelength is short. Wavelength is short means frequency is high. Frequency is high means energy is high. So fifth one is also correct. So the first one is the answer. Right. Preservation is done. We have preserved successfully. So was it clear? Was that part clear? Right. Okay then. So we'll move into the next section then. මේ section එකේ MCQ වලට තිබ්බද මම ඒක remember දැන් නම් but එන්න හැලි ගොඩක් තියෙනවා එන්න හැලි ගොඩක් තියෙනවා ටයිප් පා වෙනවා ටික but මෙතන නිකන් I won't be explaining point by point. I'll just give you a general idea what it is. Okay, just give you a general idea on what it is. And then we'll just quickly read through it. In salting, sometimes moisture can be removed, right? In salting, food is totally dry කියලා තියෙන්නේ. Food is totally dry. Totally dry කිව්වට moisture is sometimes remaining. Even salting and drying තියෙනවනේ some moisture is still remaining in the flesh කියලා. Right? So ඒක නිසා food is totally dry කියලා මම හිතන්නේ ඒගොල්ලෝ කියන්නේ 100% moisture නැහැ කියලා. Right? So some moisture is remaining from salting and drying or salting කියලා ගන්න. Okay? Right. Post harvest losses. Right. So post harvest losses, remember you can just understand it. Post harvest losses. So after you harvest a certain crop, losses might occur, right? After you harvest a crop, losses might occur. So basically, after you harvest, there are so many things that you do, right? You mulim harvest karna gemu, so you harvest. Even when harvesting, there's a loss, right? අපි ගත්තොත් ඔය වී එහෙම harvest කරන්නේ කොහොමද අර හරක් දාලා you need to අර ඒක හොඳට පාගලානේ වී ටික එහෙම ගන්නෙ. Right? So එතකොටත් again sometimes the harvest might be lost. A certain portion of the harvest might be lost. Then during storage, store karaddi sometimes insects disinfect them. Insects attack the food. These mice, rodents, and all that attack the food. And sometimes if they are not stored properly, they might get moisture and fungi and bacteria might grow in the food. So storage, store karaddi losses වෙනවා. Then again during transportation, right? When transporting, significant losses can occur. Right? So again, post harvest losses is basically the definition is given the food losses that occur along the food supply chain from harvesting of a crop until its consumption. So from the moment it's harvested until it's consumed, you get post harvest losses. Consume loss anything. The loss is basically coming out of you, right? So post harvest losses until you from the moment you harvest the crop until it's consumed, the losses that might occur. Okay. So medical product nothing very important. Product quality at harvest is influenced by when and how the harvest is done. Pre-harvest factors such as source of seed and quality that has been set during growth also contribute to the product quality at harvest. So the quality of the product that you harvest depends on these pre-harvest products, right? Pre-harvest factors. Again, if you did not use a quality seed, then the harvest you get is not anyway that much quality, right? Then if you didn't provide the quality conditions for the harvest to grow, then again you will not get a quality harvest, right? So the sources of seed and the quality that has been set during the growth also contribute to the product because they are pre-harvest factors. Product quality at harvest could be lost further during harvesting. So these are the topics that we'll be discussing. How losses occur during harvesting, handling, transporting, storage, and domestic processing and distribution, right? So where stages basically there are stages when going from harvesting to a consumer, right? So during those stages, different types of losses might occur. And these losses are categorized into these main sections which you need to know. This is very important, right? This part you need to know. The type of losses basically. Weight loss due to spoilage, right? Of course, weight might be lost. Quality loss, you might lose the quality of the product. Nutrition loss, the nutrition of the product might be lost. Seed viability loss, they can basically sometimes some seeds are kept. To consume, and the rest are kept so that they can be planted again in the next year. But if they are not stored properly, their viability is lost, right? Viability can basically ability to give rise to a new plant is lost. Okay. Then commercial loss can basically during these processes sometimes due to these different attacks quality nutrition loss weight loss basically නිකන් product එක නිකන් ඔහේ නැති වෙනවා. Basically during transportation rice might get spilled during transportation හාල් ගෝනියක් වගේ පොඩක් ඇරිලා තිබ්බොත් it might get spilled. That's what you call commercial losses. Okay. So post-harvest roasting production of cereals, fruits, and vegetables, right? So yeah, make a key. I'll just summarize it quickly. So during harvesting, paddy should be harvested at the best time. Delay harvesting of paddy may result quality loss, nutrition loss, seed viability loss, weight loss, commercial loss. So those losses could be further increased if paddy fields are flooded due to heavy rains just before harvesting, right? So during harvesting, if you don't harvest it at the proper time, again another loss, right? Like if you harvest it too early, basically you need to spend more time to make them ripe. Then, if we then if this is the perfect time to harvest, but if you harvest this too early, then harvest may harvest kara kali. And these rice and all that needs to be dried up. So this was the perfect time for harvesting, and they could have been easily dried up. But if you harvest them too early, now you need to spend more time and money to dry them up even further, right? So again, that's a loss during harvesting. Then if you harvest them too late, they are like they might get spoiled easily because they are too ripe, right? Even fruits, if you harvest them too late, they are too ripe, so they might get spoiled easily. Fruits again, if you harvest them too early, you need to spend more time to make them ripe, right? So you need to harvest them at the proper time, not during untimely harvesting. Okay, or paragraph if paddy is harvested early, it requires more drying. Grains with high moisture content are susceptible to mold growth. So again, early harvested seeds and all that will be requiring more time so that they can be dried properly. And when they have more moisture, they are susceptible to these growth of these bacteria and molds and fungi and all that. Okay. Susceptible to mold growth and insect disinfestation, resulting broken grains and low milling yield with significant commercial losses. So too early in harvesting, of course, the losses can be very high because you need to dry it, and they contain a high moisture. Is again they are susceptible to mold growth, fungal growth, and even insects might attack them. Right. So again, there are different types of losses. In addition, depending on the method of harvest, part of the paddy crop may be left and plowed into the soil, which is a commercial loss. Basically, transportation, but when හරක් දාලා ඔක පාගන එකනේ කරන්නේ when harvesting this paddy and all that. එතකොට again some amount of harvest will be left in the soil. So that's a commercial loss. Okay. Fruits and vegetables also should be harvested at the best time to have maximum quality and obtain the highest quantity, right? Maximum quality and the highest quantity. If harvested too early, the crop will not be ripe or mature enough. If harvested too late, it may get spoiled quickly, leading to quality loss and nutrition loss. So quality loss and nutrition loss එකක් තියෙනවා එතන. So මේ type of losses ටික පොඩ්ඩක් මතක තියාගන්න. අපි ගත්තොත් untimely harvesting of paddy may result in quality loss, nutrition loss, seed viability loss, weight loss, commercial loss ඔය ටික. Fruits ගත්තොත් if they are harvested too late, they might lead to quality loss, nutrition loss, and even commercial losses. Okay, commercial loss again, basically you throw away the fruit. That's a commercial loss. Harvesting of fruits and vegetables should be done without allowing physical and mechanical damages to occur. It can basically if you when you harvesting them, if you like අපි ගන්න හිතන්න මෙහෙම එක අඹ ගෙඩියක් කඩද්දී අඹ ගෙඩිය පොඩ්ඩක් තැලුණා නැත්නම් පොඩ්ඩක් කැපුණා. If it's cut or පොඩ්ඩක් a small cut is there නම් what happens is if you leave it for some time, these bacteria and pathogens will enter, and even insects will enter, and basically it gets spoiled quickly, right? So when you are harvesting, you need to properly harvest them so that no physical or mechanical damages occur, because that will become a portal for the pathogens and bacteria to enter, right? If damages occur, quality and storage life will be reduced as spoilage microorganisms will quickly invade through the damaged areas. Okay, so that's it about untimely harvesting. Was that clear? Was it clear? මෙතන නිකන් විශේෂයෙන් කියලා දෙන්න දෙයක් නැහැ. It's generally just practical knowledge එකක් තියෙනවා. But මෙතන නිකන් කොහොම නිකන් කියවින්න ඕනේ නැහැ. තේරුමක් නැහැ. Was it clear? What about the others? Right. Okay. Next is during handling. Right? During handling. Right. So during handling කියන්නේ basically you harvest them and you need to handle them නේ. Right. දැන් හිතන්න it's like this handling කියන්නේ you harvest them and when like transferring them to a storage room or something. Right. So ඒ වගේ you need to handle them properly. Right. So some losses might occur during handling. බලමු මොනවද කියලා. High shattering loss of paddy seeds could occur, which is a commercial loss. Harvested paddy should be dried, bagged, and stored temporarily without allowing the paddy seeds to absorb moisture and greater attacks by insects and rodents. So you need to handle them properly so that they will not, the seeds and all that does not absorb moisture, and you need to prevent them from these attacks by insects and losses, right? And during handling when drying up this paddy and all that, when drying up this paddy and all that, මොකද්ද වෙන්නේ ඔය if you put it and just assume you put 1,000 grains to dry up and ඔය 1000මයි ගන්න වෙන්නේ නැහැ නේ සමහරවිට it's just about 900. So again that's a commercial loss, right? So those are the losses that can occur during handling. In order to protect the quality, harvested fruits and vegetables should be handled hygienically. If they are not handled hygienically, they will easily get spoiled, right? They will easily get spoiled. Kept in plastic cards, which could be kept in a shade temporarily. Again, if the fruits and all that, if they are not handled hygienically, they can get spoiled quickly. And if they are kept under the sunlight and all that, the fruits, fresh fruits, if they are kept under the sunlight and all that, again, that leads to this nutritional loss and all that, right? Then harvested fruits or vegetables should be sorted to remove damaged, infested, moldy, or overripe fruits. Over mature vegetables, sorting will reduce spoilage. So again, if you put the good ones with the spoiled ones and then the damaged ones and the ones which are already infected by the molds and all that, it will spread to the other ones as well. The fresh ones, you need to sort them out of the damaged ones, the ones which are already spoiled and the ones which are already infected by these fungi and all that. You need to separate them so that you can protect the fresh fruits that you harvested, right? So those are the ones during handling. Then during transportation, right? Transportation ගත්තොත් අපි ගත්තොත් when transporting rice and all that, or even fruits, what happens is like rice ගත්තොත් it's something very small නේ බත්තටයක් එන්න පොඩි දෙයක් නේ. So from the farmer it needs to be transported to a local seller. Then from the seller, it transports it to another seller, and that seller transports it to another seller, and then it goes to a local seller and comes to the consumer. When you consider a sack of rice, it transports from one seller to another, and then comes to the consumer. So when it's transporting from one seller to another, the rice will start falling. Right? They will start falling. When it starts falling, that's a loss. That's a commercial loss, right? So in order to prevent that, you need to improve the distribution modes, right? You need to improve the distribution modes. When transporting fruits and all that during the daytime, the fresh fruits are exposed to a high heat, high temperature, high sunlight. That can damage the fruits and that can reduce their quality. Right? That can reduce their quality. So again, by fruits transport, you can transport them at night to prevent those damages. Then what would be another thing? Another thing when transporting fruits, then we got the fruits. So if you stack up these crates and if you stack up many fruits on top of each other, what would happen to the layers at the bottom? When you are transporting, anyway, the road infrastructure is not that well, not that developed as well sometimes. So when you're transporting these fresh produce kept in crates and loaded in lorries and all that, there's a very big commercial loss, right? There's a very big commercial loss because many fruits get damaged and injured and all that, right? So you can't use them, right? So that's another loss that occurs during transportation. Poor road infrastructure along with improper and poorly maintained modes of transportation results in large spillage of paddy seeds, right? So large spillage of paddy seeds, monkey wake, and high contamination. Yes, it might be easily contaminated with these insects. Like gullo gahanawa kiyanne. right? So it's easily contaminated with insects and even fungi. Multiple movements of crop is another major reason for high transportation losses. Sometimes bagged paddy is loaded and unloaded from vehicles several times before it's milled. During each movement, some grains are lost at spillage, right? Lost as spillage. Monkey when transported from one cell to another, they get spilled and lost. During handling and transportation of rice, 2 to 10% losses occur in Southeast Asia. So 2 to 10% of rice is lost in the total of Southeast Asia, right? So that's a very big loss when you consider the whole area. Okay. Those losses could be minimized using well-planned, better mode of transportation with an efficient bulk handling system. During the transportation of fruits and vegetables arranged at the bottom of the stack trays could be damaged by the weight of the produce above. හරිනේ. ඕක stack කරගෙන යද්දී යට තියෙන ටික තැලෙන්න පුළුවන් උඩ තියෙන ඒවා. Use of crates that could be stacked without putting the weight on produce at the bottom would solve this situation. Basically, you can use these piduru වගේ මම අම්මතේ මොනවද කියන්නේ piduru or even a soft material in between these layers of fruits, right? You can use these soft materials in between the layers of fruits so that each layer will not damage the other because you get these cushioning material, right? So use of straw within pidru, right? Use of straw or something soft in between the layers to produce layers of produce within a crate will reduce the damages due to rubbing, right? Rough handling of crates containing produce should be avoided to prevent possible damages to the produce. Uncontrolled changes of temperature and excessive shaking could do great damages to the produce during transportation. In tropical countries, if transportation is carried out at night time, produce could be protected from high temperature of the daytime. Okay, so that is also there. So that is the losses occurring during transportation. Okay. Then you come to storage, right? Then all of these are stages when going from harvesting to a consumer, right? Then you get storage, right? So storage losses are considered the most critical in developing countries as maximum losses occur during storage, right? Storage වලින් තමයි වෙන්න පුළුවන් maximum loss එක වෙන්නේ. Basically, if you do not store them properly, if you harvest, if you transport, if you handle properly, and if you don't store them properly, that whole harvest could be destroyed. Right? Transportation is about the whole harvest might not be affected. Handling when the whole harvest might not be affected. But storage dwelling, if you do not store them properly, the whole harvest could be affected, right? The whole harvest could be affected. Okay. So storage dwelling, this is very important. Maximum loss storage. Okay. So generally after harvesting or milling, grains are stored for short or long periods of storage as food reserves and as seeds for next season. Poor storage infrastructure allows rice to absorb excess moisture. Rice grains with excess moisture is to be infested by insect pests, followed by invasions of spoilage microorganisms and rodents and other pests. So when the rice gets more moisture, it's susceptible to this growth of bacteria and growth of different pathogens and all that, right? So poor infrastructure or poor storage facilities might lead to these dried up seeds. Basically, rice any dried up seed, if they get moisture, it's susceptible to spoilage quickly. Okay. Provision of proper storage infrastructure could prevent or reduce the losses that occur during storage of paddy or milled rice. Uncontrolled changes of temperature. Again, if like some produce needs proper temperatures, right? Basically, fruits got sometimes we got fish gun. If the fish is not stored under a proper low temperature, they might spoil quickly. Fish with meats, they're not spoiled if they're not stored under a proper low temperature, they might get spoiled quickly. So if the storage unit doesn't have a proper temperature, the meat might get spoiled very quickly. Okay. So could encourage spoilage microorganisms to grow faster, spoiling the stored produce, fruits and vegetables. Storage of fruits and vegetables should be done in properly chilled rooms to reduce the rate of spoilage. So anyway, chill karanne to reduce the rate of spoilage. Right. So that's about storage. The domestic processing can basically sometimes the food needs to be processed, right? The food needs to be processed before going into the consumer. Directly raw materials sometimes the food needs to be processed so that the consumer can have the desired output, right? So during processing also losses can occur. So in domestic processing of different food types at different areas of Sri Lanka, following methods are used. The post-harvest loss of food processing could be due to early harvesting, improper handling. Post-harvest losses that could occur during domestic processing could be reduced. So මෙතන ඇත්තටම domestic processing වලින් එන losses ගැන ලොකුවට දීලා නැහැ. But it's stated that how they could be reduced. Right? So it could be reduced by following correct procedures. Correct procedures got the harvesting at the right time. Hygienic handling to prevent microbial contamination and proper storage. Right? So whether the domestic processing keyword are generally all of these processes, storage, transportation, handling, all of those processes come under domestic processing. Right? It's like processing the product. So all of those processes come under domestic processing. It should be harvested at the correct time, hygienic handling, and proper storage. Right. Then anything preservation methods, drying after thermal treatment, pasteurization, freezing, um, fish and meat are temporarily stored in freezer compartment of refrigerator, chilling, salting and drying, sugaring, use of chemicals. That's just preservation. Right? That's preservation. Right. So was it clear? Was that part? Yeah, I know that part was quite boring. I know. But was it clear? Did you guys understand it? I want everyone to respond. Right. Okay. Good. Right. So generally just study the මෙතන මම හිතන්නේ මේක මේ මුළු ඔක්කොම පාඩම් කරලා තියාගන්න පුළුවන් වෙයි කියලා. එතන අමාරුයිනේ එතන තෝගයක් තියෙනවනේ ඉතින් හැලි ගොඩක්නේ. පින්තූරයක්වත් දාලා තියෙනවනේ එකක්. So just generally study the important points that I pointed out and the ones that I underlined and just keep a general idea. Right? General idea එකක් තියාගන්න transportation වලට වෙන්නේ මොන වගේ දේවල්ද, storage වල වෙන losses මොන වගේ දේවල්ද, and during handling what are the losses that can occur. So if I just keep a general idea, right? Just keep a general idea. You don't have to like in deep know these stuff. Okay. So let's just see if you have MCQs. Right. Just quickly try this question. Right. Which are the given post-harvest losses? I think most of your answers are correct. Post-harvest losses mainly occur during handling of paddy following harvest. Right? So handling and so method the other make loss commercial loss. So high shattering loss of paddy seeds could occur, which is a commercial loss. And spoilage during handling, what can happen is basically this commercial loss. Quality quantity nutrition it's basically the commercial loss that occurs right during handling. Like like if the paddy is not dried properly, again that's a commercial loss. Then if you do not handle the fruits after harvesting them properly, that leads to again a commercial loss where you have to throw away the fruits and all that, right? So it's basically commercial loss. Handling now mainly commercial loss. Okay. Try this question. Right, this is easy, right? Identify the step of the food supply chain in which maximum losses occur in Sri Lanka. So maximum losses kelly method storage. Storage losses are considered as the most critical in developing countries as maximum losses occur during the storage. So Sri Lanka is anyway developing country. So the maximum loss occurs during storage, right? Maximum loss occurs during storage. Okay. So remember that. That's very important. Okay. That's very important. It occurs during storage. Definitely remember that. Okay. Right. Let's see one more question. Question. It's a good question actually. What would be the answer? Yeah. What if they were named? More the question. It's a good question, bro. It's a very good question. I got 1, 2, 3, and 4. Anyone sending 5? Just use your practical thinking. Use your practical thinking. පොතේ තියෙන දේම පාඩම් කරන්න යන්න එපා. Just use your practical thinking. Right, let's see. So harvesting, first answer, harvesting. So select the correct step plus combination in production of paddy crops. So harvesting, part of the paddy crops may be left and plowed into the soil, resulting in quality loss. No, right? Like if the paddy is left and plowed into the soil, that's not a quality loss. What type of loss is that? What's the type of loss in that? What Jati? That's a yes, commercial loss, right? That's a commercial loss. When you lose a certain quantity, that's called commercial loss. Okay, commercial loss. Harvesting, paddy may spoil quickly if harvested too late, resulting in nutrition loss. Paddy may spoil quickly if harvested too late and results in nutrition loss. Is that correct? Yeah, no. If they spoil quickly, it leads to nutrition loss, right? Nutrition loss and commercial loss. They come. Nutrition loss again. Spoil lunat, or you can just cut off that part and eat the rest. Ne? So nutrition loss when mulu ekam spoil not, definitely it's a commercial loss. And it's given here as well. If harvested too late, it may spoil quickly, leading to quality loss and nutrition loss. Finally, resulting economical losses. Economical losses again commercial loss, right? So spoiling වලින් මුලින්ම වෙන්නේ the quality is lost and the nutrition is lost. Then only the commercial loss comes. Okay, so the nutrition loss is there, then the quality, nutrition loss and the quality loss is there, then only the commercial loss. Okay, that's correct. Harvesting. Grains with high moisture content is susceptible to mold growth, resulting in nutrition loss. No, right? High moisture content is susceptible to mold growth. Now, that's a commercial loss, right? Commercial loss. Commercial loss. Storage. Medina. Poor storage infection allows rice to absorb maximum moisture. Rice grains with excess moisture to be infected easily by insect pests, followed by invasion of spoilage microorganisms. Rice to be attacked by rodents and pathogens. Molds se kabe atanne mene dibbe. Molds ekoti. Hamidi, harvested fruits or vegetables could be sorted to remove damaged, infested, moldy, overripe foods, which reduce spoilage during transport and storage. So grains with high moisture content is susceptible to mold growth, resulting in nutrition loss. That's a commercial loss, right? That's wrong. It's a commercial loss. Harvesting. Crop will not be matured enough if harvested too early, resulting in seed viability loss. No, right? Seed viability එක නැති වෙන්නේ if the crop is too old or if the harvest is getting too old, not too early, right? Seed viability එක නැති වෙන්නේ if it's too old, right? Not matured enough. No, if it's too old, the seed viability loss occurs, right? Matured matured enough for some other seeds are not viable, but that's not a seed viability loss, right? Seed viability loss එකක් එන්න නම් initially there should be a seed viability, right? So seed viability loss එක එන්නේ if the harvest is too old. That's true. Handling. High shattering loss of paddy seeds could occur, resulting in quality loss. That's again a commercial loss. Okay. Right. So was it clear? Is this section clear? Are these questions and the section clear? Right. Okay. So we will take a break now, but before that, what I wanted to tell was about the exam that we'll be having. We told it in the 25 class. Ne? Uh, so we'll be having an exam on the 7th of June, right? We'll be having an exam on the 7th of June. June, right? 7th of June. It's a Saturday. Saturday, and you get an MCQ paper and an essay paper from the first 6 units, right? From the first 6 units. The last exam was only from grade 12, ne? So now it's been well, updated. So the first 6 units are questioned in an MCQ paper and an essay paper. I'll share the message in the group now. So we have it on the 7th of June, Saturday, 10 indang for 4:10 from 10 a.m. to 4:10 p.m. An MCQ paper and an essay paper will be given. So I'm hoping that you guys will join. Okay. Right. I'll anyway share the message in the group. So yeah. Right. Okay, then we'll take a break. It's 8:13. It's 8:30. So we'll start again at 8:25. Right. Join again at 8:25. We'll take a break and then go to the two important sections of today, dengue and filaria. Right. So join again at 8:25. Right. Okay. Let's start it then. Right. Okay. Dengue and filaria. Right. මේක අතන එච්චර අමාරු නෑ තේරුම් ගන්න ලොකුවට දෙයක් නෑ. It's just there are many points actually. There are many points. Okay. Right. So let's see what we have here. So let's start with dengue. Right. Starting with dengue. Right. Right. So vector is a dengue is a vector-borne disease, right? Dengue is a vector-borne disease. So what's a vector-borne disease? Vector-borne diseases can usually the diseases which are carried into a certain host by an arthropod, right? By an arthropod. So මෙතන මේ important terms තියෙනවා. Important terms තුනක් තියෙනවා. එකක් තමයි the virus, vector and the host, right? So dengue virus එක තමයි හැදෙන්නේ අපිට. අපිට හැදෙන්නේ dengue virus. මදුරුවාට කියන්නේ dengue නෙමෙයි. Right? The vector is the mosquito. Right? The person which carries the disease, oh, sorry, the person, the mosquito which carries the disease is called the vector. Or the arthropod that carries the virus is called the vector. Okay? So dengue virus එක අරන් යන arthropod තමයි vector එක කියන්නේ. The host is basically where the virus will multiply in. So the vector carries the virus into the host, and inside the host, the virus will multiply. So just know those terms. So it's a vector-borne disease. That's important. Know it. It's a vector-borne disease caused by an arbovirus. Arbovirus, which is an RNA virus, right? So here you get an example of an RNA virus. So do you guys have any other examples for another RNA virus? Give me an example of another RNA virus. Yes, right. In unit 7, you learn about influenza, right? In unit 7, you learn about influenza, right? So that is an RNA virus. So මෙතන මේ දැන් මෙහෙමයි vector borne කිව්වහම vector කියන්නේ it's like the vehicle that carries this thing, right? It's like the vehicle. Oh, අපි ගත්තොත් even dogs will carry the rabies virus thing, right? So ඒ වගේ that dog will become a vector. So මෙතන vector borne කිව්වම it's carried by another organism. Arbovirus කියන්නේ specifically arthropods lagi, right? Vector borne නම් carried by another organism. Arbovirus නම් specifically it's an arthropod, right? So vector borne disease is caused by an arbovirus, which is an RNA virus. So the arbovirus කියන්නේ it's contained within an arthropod. Epidemics of dengue are reported in tropical and subtropical regions of the world, right? This is also important. Where is dengue reported? It's reported in the tropical and the subtropical regions in the world. So like Sri Lanka, we are a tropical country. The virus is transmitted by two species of mosquitoes. These are very important. Aedes aegypti and Aedes albopictus. The most common one is actually Aedes aegypti, right? Aedes aegypti is the most common one, okay? But you need to know these two names. They are very important. Aedes aegypti and Aedes albopictus. Right? So repeat after me. Aedes aegypti and Aedes albopictus. Again, Aedes aegypti and Aedes albopictus. Okay, right. So, what is the genus of the dengue virus? What is the genus of the dengue virus? What would you say? What is the genus of the dengue virus? What would you say? Structured data question. What is the genus of the dengue virus? What would be your answer? What would be your answer? Yes, right? It's Aedes, right? AIDS it's Aedes, okay? Aedes, okay, good. The transmission of the dengue virus is dependent on biotic and abiotic factors. Of course, the biotic factors come under the living factors, right? The living factors, of course, include the virus, the vector, and the host. And the abiotic factors will include the temperature, humidity, rainfall. So, tropical country, temperature එකත් එක්ක humidity එකත් එක්ක and වැස්සත් එක්ක මේ depend වෙනවා whether the mosquito will spread a lot or it will spread less. Basically අපි කියන්නේ ඔය වහිද්දි ගොඩක් වහිද්දි සාමාන්‍ය මදුරු බෝන වැඩි කියනවානේ because water gets collected in these plastic containers and all that. So ඒකයි. Right? The dengue virus is transmitted to human via biting of an infected female mosquito, right? Female mosquitoes are the ones who will transmit the disease. So not the male ones. සාමාන්‍යයෙන් කොහොමත් පිරිමි අහිංසකයිනේ. Right? So the male one එයා කරන්නේ basically මේ පළතුරු මැස්ස fruit fly is the male of this guy, right? So කොහොමත් පිරිමි අහිංසකයි. So එයා කරන්නේ පළතුරු බීම බොන එක while the female one drinks the blood, right? So mosquitoes, humans, no difference. So the infected humans can be symptomatic as well as is asymptomatic, and they are the carriers and multipliers of the virus. So the humans, that's the host, right? Humans are the host, right? Humans are the host, and that is where the virus are carried and multiplied. Okay, right. So this part describes about the features, right? May part important. They describe about the features of the Aedes mosquito, right? Features, right? So small to medium size, approximately 4 to 7 millimeters. Now these are important where you need to actually compare it with the mosquito that carries the filaria virus, right? So 4 to 7 millimeters, dark in color. Dark in color. ඔයගොල්ලෝ දන්න අම්මලත් කියන මේ ඩෙන්ගු වතුරෙක් කියලා කියන බේසිකලි අර සුදු පාට බෑන්ස් යනවා නම් කියලා සාමාන්‍යයෙන් අහලා තියෙනවනේ. Symptomatic can basically what are symptoms are basically if you have fever and if you have high temperature and all that, that's a symptom, right? Symptom can the characteristics that are used to identify a disease, okay? Those are the symptoms, right? So what dengue tinana, usually the symptoms are you have fever, then platelet loss, right? So those symptoms, okay? Right, so 4 to 7 millimeters, dark in color, and these mosquitoes have white markings or bands on the body, and this is important. The arrangement on these bands or of these bands, the arrangement of these bands are different in the body and the legs, right? So in the body, it's arranged in a different manner, and in the legs, it's arranged in another way. Okay, so that is important. Know that point. And they live about 2 to 4 weeks, depending on the environmental conditions. So 2 to 4 weeks, full life cycle again. Right, then you have the life cycle. This is the life cycle. 4 stages, of course. Eggs, larva, pupa, and adults. Let me take the life cycle. Right. So here you go. You have the life cycle where you get the adult, then the eggs, then the larvae, then the pupa. Okay. Then the pupa becomes an adult again. Right. So may them make you take a product input. Okay. So the adult female mosquito lays eggs singly, right? Eggs singly can egg. Not together, not in clusters, not in rafts. They lay eggs singly. Again, eggs are laid separately on the inner surface of wet containers above the water level. So are the eggs touching the water? 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 Yes or no? No, right? Note that difference. The eggs are not touching the water. Okay. Inner surface of wet containers above the water level, right? Above the water level. Preferably clear water. Where differences are important, where it's completely different when you consider filaria. Okay. So eggs singly, right? Eggs singly, inner surface of wet containers above the water level and clear water. Megama පාඩම් කරගෙන යන්න. Okay, singly, inner surface of wet containers above the water level and clear water, preferably. Right. Then you have these life cycle. So initially the laid eggs are white. So initially it's white in color and they become shiny black within few minutes. අර ඔය chemistry වල තියෙනවානේ මොකක් හරි compound එකක් that turns black white එක black වෙන්නේ මොකද්ද? PbS2O3. ඔහොම එකක් තියෙනවානේ. මම මතක නැහැ. PbS2O3 නේ. blood මම මතක නැහැ. මේකේ PbS හැදෙනවානේ. I gotta remember. යා නේ. AgS2O3 එක නෙමෙයි heat කරන්න ඕනේ. I can't remember. It's either AGS2O3 or PBS2O3 මොකක් හරි දෙකක් heat කරන්න ඕනේ එකක් heat කරන්න නැතුව නිකම් වෙනවනේ. AG needs to be heated නේ. PBS2O3 ද heat කරන්න. හරි මම දන්නේ නැහැ. කොහොම හරි දෙකෙන් එකක් මට මතකයි මොන එකද heat කරන්න කියලා. එක එක yes කියන තව එකේ no කියන. හිතාගෙන මොකද්ද කියලා. කමන්නේ. ඔයගොල්ලෝ දන්නා නම් ඇති. Right, okay. Yeah, මට මතකයි AGS2O3 තමයි heat කරන්න ඕනේ නැතිනේ. Right. Anyway, so these eggs are white in color and they become shiny black color within few minutes from the deposition. So initially white becomes black. So you can see it in life cycle that these eggs are black in color, right? Black color, like color eggs, okay? Right. These eggs are smooth, long and ovoid in shape and about 1 millimeter long, right? So again, you can see, right? They are smooth, long, ovoid and it's about 1 millimeter. 1 millimeter, but smooth, long and ovoid and about 1 millimeter in length, right? Right. The eggs hatch within 2 days to become a larvae, right? So the eggs the eggs are laid eggs right? So eggs are hatched within 2 days. 2 days. So eggs to larvae goes for about 2 days. And this larvae is like actually this thing. The eggs will hatch and the larvae will fall into the water, right? So you get the container here now. If this is the container, if this is the water level, what happens is the eggs are laid singly like this, right? Eggs stick, and then when it hatches, the larvae falls into the water and it rests at an angle like this to water. Right? It rests at an angle. Okay, that's important. You need to know that, right? So within 2 days, the eggs will hatch into the larvae, and the larvae will rest with an angle to the water surface. So, if the eggs are not hatched, they can undergo a dormant period for about 6 months. Right. The body of the larvae consists of 3 major parts: head, thorax, abdomen. Head, thorax, and abdomen. Even in arthropods, you get that. Then, after 4 to 5 days of larval stage, so after 4 to 5 days of larval stage, it becomes the pupa. Right? So, 4 to 5 days. Larval to pupa and 4 to 5 days and pupa. I mean, shape what do you call this shape? What do you call this shape? Yeah? What is the shape of the pupa? Yes, right. It's not like any comma. It's the comma shape, right? Because it's a comma shape, right? So they have this comma shape, and that's the pupa. Okay. Becomes pupa, which is comma shape and mobile. Comma shape and mobile. Mobile is important, where pupa is the first stage where it becomes mobile. Okay. And the pupa becomes a mosquito, adult mosquito within 1 to 2 days. So again, within 1 to 2 days, this becomes adult mosquito. Right. So the mosquito lays these white color eggs singly on the inner surface of these wet containers above the water level, and in preferably clear water. Okay. Then within minutes, these white eggs become black eggs. They turn into shiny black color. Then those shiny black color eggs, which are long, ovoid in shape, right? They are long and ovoid in shape, will become the larvae, right? These eggs are about 1 millimeter in length and they will hatch into the larvae within 2 days. The larvae rest with an angle to the water surface and within 4 to 5 days, they become the pupa. The pupa is comma shaped and mobile, and within 1 to 2 days, they become the adult Aedes mosquito. Okay, so that's the life cycle. Is that clear? Was it clear until this place? Right. Then breeding sites කියලා එකක් නම් තියෙනවා. ඉතින් මම ඒක නම් කියවන්න යන්නේ නැහැ. ඉතින් මේක නම් ඔයාලට කියවලා නිකන් තේරුම් ගන්න පුළුවන්. Okay? I won't be reading this breeding sites කියන එක දන්නවනේ TV එකේ දැකලා ඉතින් පොල් කටු, යෝගට් කෝප්ප, තමන් තියෙන ටයර් ඇතුලේ ඔය වගේ දේවල් තියෙනවානේ. So you just read through that part. ඒක නම් කියවන්න යන්නේ නැහැ. Okay? And just remember 1 or 2, right? Just remember 2 or 3. 2 or 3 would be good. Breeding sites. So basically මෙතන important දේ තමයි so important දේ තමයි they prefer dark colored surfaces, right? Dark colored surfaces with clear, unpolluted water. Okay, so that's the important point that you need to remember. Yeah, and just remember some examples here. I won't be reading that. Right, dark colored surfaces with clear, unpolluted water. Right, symptoms of the disease. Right, dengue has that. Dengue has that. No, won't get again. Almost had that. I'm not but right. So dengue fever is actually like a small disease, but dengue hemorrhagic fever. Okay. Dengue hemorrhagic fever is actually the lethal, the most dangerous one, right? So dengue fever right? But the dengue hemorrhagic fever is actually very lethal and that's what kills. Okay, right. Here බලමු. So symptoms of the disease. So symptom එකක් කියන්නේ what's a symptom? Symptom එකක් කියන්නේ basically the characteristics that you can see or the things that happen to you which will help to identify this disease. ඔයාට උණ තියෙනවා නම් ඔයාට මේ මොකක් හරි platelets අඩු වෙනවා නම් if you are vomiting and those are called the symptoms which help you identify the disease. Right? So symptoms of the disease, dengue can affect infants, young children and adults. So තුනටම පුළුවන්. Important. It starts with flu-like symptoms. So නිකන් flu එකක් වගේ නිකන් උණක් වගේ හැදෙන්නේ. Sudden onset of high fever. Sudden onset of high fever accompanied by any of the following responses. So normal fever එකේ එන responses ටිකක් තියෙන ඉතින්. Severe headache, pain behind the eyes, muscles and joint pains, nausea, vomiting or skin rash. These symptoms usually last for 2 to 7 days after incubation period of 4 to 10 days from the bite of an infected female Aedes mosquito. කියන්නේ these symptoms last for 2 to 7 days. සාමාන්‍ය සතියක් වගේ තියෙනවා. හැදුන දවස් ඉඳන් සාමාන්‍ය සතියක් විතර තියෙනවා these symptoms. So it starts, the symptoms basically start after 4 to 10 days when the female mosquito bit you. එතන නිකන් මෙහෙම. අද ඔයාව හැපුවා කියලා හිතන්නකෝ. මදුරුවා. So the 20th නේ. Right? Today is the 20th. Okay. So today is the 20th. So between 24th and 30th, between the 24th and the 30th of this month, these symptoms might occur. Right? Between the 24th and 30th, any day. 24th හැදෙන්න පුළුවන්, 30th හැදෙන්න පුළුවන්. Right? These symptoms might occur. And හිතන්න නිකන් 26th ලා හැදුනා කියලා. 26th ලා හැදුනත් this usually lasts for just about 1 week. ඒ කියන්නේ අපි ගත්තොත් 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So maybe June 1st විතර වෙනකම්. Okay? So I hope that was clear. Right? Okay. Now that's the normal fever. The severe one is the dengue hemorrhagic fever, right? Severe dengue is a potentially deadly complication. It's a potentially deadly complication due to blood plasma leaking. So මේක මතක තියාගන්න. DHF සමහර ඔයගොල්ලෝ ඩෙන්ගු වර්ඩ්ස් වලට ගිහිල්ලා තියෙන්නේ. අය ඩෙන්ගු වර්ඩ්ස් වල ගිහිල්ලා තියෙන්නේ. ගිහිල්ලා තියෙ කියලා හිතනවා. Okay. මේ එතකොට who is annotating on the screen? ඒකත් disable කරන්න ඕනේ. ඒක disable කරන්න කොහොමද කියලා ෂුවර් නේ. on. Right. So ඔය ඔයගොල්ලෝ ඔය ඩෙන්ගු වර්ඩ්ස් වලට ගිහිල්ලා ඇතල ඩෙන්ගු වර්ඩ්ස් වල ගහලා තියෙනවා ඔය ඇඳේ ගහලා තියෙන ලේබල් එකක් DF and DHF කියලා ලේබල්ස් එකක් තියෙනවා සාමාන්‍යයෙන්. Okay? DF means is dengue fever. මෙන්න මේක. DF is this. DHF is not dengue high fever. Right? DHF is not dengue high fever. It's dengue hemorrhagic fever. What is hemorrhage? What is hemorrhage? Does anyone know what hemorrhage is? No. What is hemorrhage? What is hemorrhage? What is hemorrhage? Yeah, right. Hemorrhage is basically internal රක්තපතය රක්තපතය කියන්නේ මොකද්ද කියලා මම දන්නේ නැහැ. But it's internal bleeding, right? Hemorrhage කියන්නේ වගේ සිංහල වචනේ. හරි හරි. මේ internal bleeding, right? Not of the brain, not of the brain. Hemorrhage කියන්නේ brain එකට දාලා නැහැ, right? Brain නම් කියනවා brain hemorrhage එකක් කියලා. Right? Hemorrhage in general is just internal bleeding, right? Internal bleeding. Okay? Right. So it's internal bleeding. So එතකොට this dengue hemorrhagic fever, what it does is basically inside your body, the blood capillaries and the blood vessels get injured, right? The blood capillaries and the blood vessels get injured, right? එතකොට මොකක්ද වෙන්නේ? Constant bleeding. දැන් ඔයගොල්ලෝ දන්නවනේ ඩෙන්ගු වල බලන මේන්ම දේ ඔයගොල්ලෝ platelet count එක කියලා. දන්නවද? මේ blood වල බලන මේන්ම දේ platelet count එක, right? So when bleeding occurs, in order to prevent bleeding or to clot blood, you need platelets, right? එතකොට if the bleeding is small, your platelets are not used much. But if the bleeding is excessive, your platelets are used a lot and the platelet count starts decreasing very quickly if the bleeding is very high. So ඒකෙන් තමයි බලන්න එතන මේ disease එක severe ද නැද්ද කියලා. මොකද when inside your body, when bleeding occurs, the platelets will have to clot the blood, right? So එතකොට මොකද්ද වෙන්නේ? The platelet count decreases, right? ඒකයි ඩෙන්ගු වල platelet count එක අඩු වෙලා වැඩි වෙනවා කියන්නේ මොකද්ද? වැඩි වුණා කියනකට සනීපයි කියන්නේ. right? platelet count එක හැම වෙලාවෙම ටෙස්ට් කරන්නේ. අඩු වෙලා platelet count එක වැඩි වෙන්න පටන් ගන්නවා. ඔය basically හිතන්න නිකන් count එක කියන්නකෝ. නිකන් count example count එක. so මේකේ ඉඳන් 50,000 වලට වැස්සා. okay? and මේකේ ඉඳන් 25,000. මේකේ ඉඳන් 10,000. So over here you can see the rate decreasing, right? The rate of the rate of the decreasing of platelet count, that rate is decreasing, right? Rate එක අඩු වෙනවානේ. මුලින් 50,000 gap එකක්, then 25,000, then 15,000. So වගේ gap එක අඩු වෙනවා කියන්නේත් again you are getting well, right? You are getting well, right? But if this constantly decreases, still අපිට කියන්න බෑ හරියටම whether you're getting well or not. But if this starts to increase again, our platelet count එක වැඩි වුණොත්, then you can confirm that this person is getting well, right? That's how this goes. Right, anyway, so due to blood plasma leaking, so how does the blood plasma leak? Basically, you have injuries, right? You have injuries in your body and you have blood injuries in your blood capillaries. So what happens? The blood plasma starts leaking. Blood plasma starts leaking, right? Then fluid accumulation. Plasma leak, fluid accumulation. Respiratory distress, you cannot breathe properly. Respiratory distress, you can't breathe properly. Severe bleeding, organ impairment, because organs are not getting blood properly, right? So organ impairment, severe bleeding and internal bleeding. Warning signs occur 3 to 7 days after the first symptoms in conjunction with a decrease in temperature, right? If the temperature suddenly decreases, bullying high fever adu not, so that might give you an idea where this is dengue hemorrhagic fever. And include severe abdominal pain, persistent vomiting, rapid breathing, bleeding from the nose and gums, fatigue. Fatigue කියන්නේ මහන්සි වෙනවා කියන්නේ. මහන්සි දැනෙනවා. Fatigue කියන්නේ getting tired very easily. Enlargement of the liver, reduced number of platelets, restlessness, and blood in vomit. The next 24 to 48 hours of the critical stage can be lethal, in which symptoms may progress to massive bleeding. If massive bleeding occurs, the blood pressure drops quickly. Okay? All your blood capillaries, all your blood vessels are damaged and bleeding occurs constantly. So you don't actually get blood in the blood vessels. Blood vessels, blood at its nature. So the blood pressure decreases very quickly. When the blood pressure decreases, what happens? Your brain and those important organs do not get the blood properly, right? ඔළුවට play යන්න නැත්නම් ගෙලි මැරෙනවා, right? Oh my god. But basically you get shock and death, right? So if it's massive bleeding, all your blood capillaries and blood vessels are damaged and Very low blood pressure means your organs do not get blood properly, right? Yeah, hypertension is the decrease, right? So you don't get the blood properly to the important organs such as the brain and the heart. That can lead to shock and death. Okay. Yeah, low blood pressure is hypertension. That's good. First two paragraphs, sorry, first two lines in the second paragraph is the reasons for the symptoms. I didn't get you. First two lines of the second paragraph is the reasons for the symptoms. Reasons for the symptoms. Symptoms. So symptoms got these are symptoms: heavy abdominal pain, persistent vomiting, rapid breathing, bleeding from the nose and gums, fatigue, enlargement of the liver, reduced number of platelets, restlessness, and blood in vomit. So these are the symptoms. මෙන්න මේ තියෙන symptoms ටික. These are the symptoms. ඔය අහන්නේ මේ ටික මොනවා කියලාද? ඒ ටික. Severe dengue is a potential. ඒ කියන්නේ මේ තියෙන disease එකේ වෙන්නේ මොනවද කියන්නේ. So these are the symptoms. Okay. These are the symptoms. 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 Yeah, symptoms. Prompts නෙමෙයි symptoms. And this is like how the disease occurs, or what happens during the disease, right? These are the ones that happen during the disease. Okay, you mean these are the reasons for the symptoms? Yeah. මේවා නිසා තමයි the symptoms එන්නේ. Okay, I got you. Right? So this is how the disease occurs. මේ disease එකේ මොකද්ද වෙන්නේ කියන එක තමයි first two lines වලින් කියන්නේ. Then you get the symptoms. So yeah, massive bleeding, very low blood pressure, shock and death. Shock කියන්නේ basically shock එක නිකන් කොහොමද කියන්නේ? මට කියන්න දෙන්නේ. අර when your brain doesn't function properly අර shock එක කියන්නේ නිකන් එකපාරට බය වෙනවා කියන එකමත් නෙමෙයි. එතන basically වෙන්නේ මොකද්ද? Let me search it out මට කියන්න දෙන්න. fit එක වගේ ඉන්න පුළුවන්. Yeah, that's correct. fit එක. Sepsis. ඒක නම් මට sure නෑ. ඉන්න බලන්න. Yeah. So shock එක කියන්නේ මෙතන මෙහෙමයි. Yeah, shock එක එන්නේ when the blood pressure is low and when the important organs are not getting blood properly. So shock එක කියන්නේ එතන නිකන් අර දැන් සාමාන්‍ය shock කියන්නේ එකපාරට බය වුණාම වගේනේ. So ඒක නෙමෙයි එතන mean කරන්නේ basically අර when your brain is not supplied with blood, you get dizziness, you get confusion, you get faintish, right? And your organs start shutting down. And a phase එක when you're not getting enough oxygen, right? When you're not getting enough oxygen to the major organs, that's what you call shock. Okay, right. Proper medical care is needed to avoid complications and risk of shock and death. Risk of shock and death අපි කියන dengue shock syndrome කියලා. Basically shock කියන්නේ අර oxygen අඩු වුණාම when the organs do not get proper oxygen, you might die due to that because the organs will not start functioning properly. Right. So was it clear the symptoms of the disease and how it occurs? Was it clear? Was it clear? What about the others? Right. Okay. Then controlling measures, right? දැන් අපි කතා කරා yeah, yeah. If they ask for the symptoms of the disease, you should explain both dengue fever and the dengue hemorrhagic fever. දෙකම explain කරන්න ඕනි. Yes. Right? දෙකම ඕනි. Okay. Right. Then අපි දැන් කතා කරා what this mosquito is. Then we talked about the characteristics, its life cycle, then the breeding sites. එක නම් ඔයාලා කියව ගන්න. And the symptoms. Now we'll take a look at how this disease can be controlled. Right? So මෙතනත් මේ මුල් ටික විතරක් කියවන්න මම මේ ලිස්ට් එක නම් කියවන්නේ. So dengue vector controlling methods are mainly aimed at both immature and adult stage. So both the immature and adult stage of the Aedes mosquito. Integrated vector management strategy includes environmental, chemical, and biological. Right. Environmental, chemical, and biological controlling methods. Most cost-effective way is controlling the vector by eliminating the breeding site. So of course, best method is by eliminating the breeding sites, right? Eliminating the breeding sites. So removal of open source of water through environment management could be done by කියලා දීලා තියෙනවා කොහොමද ඒක කරන්න කියලා. ඒක ප්‍රැක්ටිකල් නොලෙජ් එක මම කියන්න ඕනේ නෑනේ. right ඒක නිසා ඒක පොඩ්ඩක් කියව ගන්න. right right so environmental management practices ගත්තොත් that's just eliminating the breeding sites, right? That's just eliminating the breeding sites of mosquitoes. Okay. Then in addition to environment management practices, biological controlling methods can also be used, right? Biological controlling methods. මොනවාද biological controlling methods? So these are basically using of biological agents to kill certain stages of the life cycle of a mosquito. Example, fish or some bacteria, right? So using biological agents to kill a certain step of the life cycle of the mosquito. Okay. So use of fish species which feed on the larval stages of the mosquito, right? Using fish species which feeds on the larval stages of the mosquito, right? The following fish species could be introduced to water storage tanks, barrels, ornamental ponds, etc. to feed on the larval stages. So larval stages, basically, you can introduce these three. These three are important. Remember them: guppy, dandy, and juvenile stages of tilapia. Right? Guppy, dandy, and juvenile stages of tilapia. Okay. You guys know what juvenile is, right? Juvenile can what? What's juvenile? What's juvenile? Yeah, juvenile කියන්නේ young කියන එක. Yeah, young. Okay, juvenile කියන්නේ young. Right? So young stages of tilapia. So guppy, dandy, and juvenile stages of tilapia. Okay. Right. So ඔය තුන පොඩ්ඩක් මතක තියාගන්න. Right. So just repeat after me. Guppy. Guppy නම් දන්නවනේ ඔයගොල්ලෝ. Guppy ගෙදරත් එසම. Right. Guppy, dandy, and juvenile stages of tilapia. Right. Guppy, dandy, and juvenile stages of tilapia. Guppy, dandy, juvenile stages of tilapia. Okay. So they will affect these larval stages of the mosquito. So life cycle. Ready? මෙන්න මෙයාට තමයි affect කරන්නේ. Okay. Larval stages. So you might get an MCQ stating that guppy or these biological agents can affect the pupa stage of the mosquito. එහෙම දුන්නොත් ඒක ගන්න එපා because in the resource book they mention the larval stages නේ. Right? So larva එක තමයි ගන්න ඕනේ but generally larval stages කියන්නේ මේ දෙකටම තමයි. Larval stages කියවා මේ දෙකට. Right? So ඒක අවුලකුත් නැහැ අතන මොකද larval stages කියන්නේ මේ දෙකටම but specifically they mean the larva. Right? Larval කියන්නේ basically the stage before becoming mature නේ. Right? So මේ දෙකම larval stages but larva කියලා වෙනම stage එකක් තියෙනවා. Okay, don't confuse them. Larval stage කියන්නේ දෙකම larvae or larva කියලා වෙනම stage එකක් තියෙනවා. So ඒක අර දෙකටමත් අදාළයි. අර larva මත් නෙමෙයි larval කියලා කිව්වම දෙකටම අදාළයි. ගන්න පුළුවන්. Right. Then BTI toxin, right? මේක නම් ඔයගොල්ලෝ ඉගෙන ගත්ත unit 9 වල BTI. BTI stands for Bacillus thuringiensis israelensis. Right? So you get the name here and you need to know this, okay? මේක නම් දැනන් ඉන්න ඕනේ. Bacillus thuringiensis israelensis. Okay? BTI. BTI කියන්නේ Bacillus Thuringiensis, israelensis. BTI toxin is actually the most harmful toxin produced by bacterium, right? It's a very harmful toxin, not harmful for humans. Humans let enemy, but for other organisms know that it's one of the most toxic proteins, most toxic toxins produced by bacterium. Okay, so it can be used to control the dengue vectors. This is a bacteria that produces an endotoxin. Endotoxin can basically may make a unit 9 endotoxins are basically parts of the cells, right? They're like parts of the cells. Okay. So, which is toxic to the larval stage of the mosquitoes. Another method of mosquito control is thermal fogging. So, biological methods එක applying fish species, guppy, dandian, juvenile stage of tilapia, and applying the BTI toxin. Okay. Chemical method එක thermal fogging. එක නම් ගෙවල් පැතිත් කරනවා තියෙන ඔය ඇවිල්ලා දුම් ගහලා යන්නේ. Right? Thermal fogging, which is a form of chemical method. When mosquitoes are exposed to a sufficient dosage of the fog, they are knocked down and killed. So there are several limitations. Limitations ගත්තොත් fish could die in the absence of food in the breeding site. So අපි breeding sites වලට මාළු දැම්මහම we need to feed them and take care of them as well. Right? So if we do not take care of them properly, they might die. Due to the changes in water quality parameters such as pH and all that, they might die. And when the domesticated water containers are filled with chlorinated water, it may lead to the death of fish. So fish actually cannot live in chlorinated water in nature, right? They cannot properly live in chlorinated water. Again, the water level or the conditions of the water might affect the fish. Then BTI sometimes they might not be applicable to all the breeding sites. This BTI toxin can affect other organisms as well, right? BTI toxin can affect other small organisms as well. So you cannot apply them just directly to any environment or any breeding site. You need to be careful, right? So that's there. And thermal fogging, even us, we can be affected due to this fog. The wheezing effect. Okay. So yeah, those are the limitations. Do we have more? No. Right. So dengue is done. Was it clear? Was it clear? How was it? Just let me know. Right. Okay. Let me see if I have some questions on this. I think I might. Manibalan possible dengue වලින් විතරක් තියනද කියලා. No. So dengue වලින් ඇත්තටම අහලා නැහැ. But filaria වලින් නම් දෙකක් තියෙනවා. Yeah. So මේ අවුරුද්ද dengue වෙන්න බැරි නෑ. Let's see some other questions. Right. Try this. Let's try this. Try this question and quickly send me the answer. Right. Let's see. The correct statement regarding the life cycle of Aedes aegypti mosquito is adult female mosquito lays eggs in the inner surface of wet containers at the water level. At the water level, it's above the water level, right? Above the water level. That's wrong. Eggs are ovoid in shape, long and smooth, around 1 millimeters long. Yes, that's correct. After 45 days, the larva stage becomes the pupa. Is that correct? After 4 to 5 days, the larva stage becomes the pupa. Larva stage becomes the pupa. Yes, that's correct. Yeah, that's also correct. So the larval stage එක කියලා දීලා තියෙනවා නේ. So larval stage becomes the pupa කියන අපිට pupa එක ගන්න බෑ under the larval stage නේ. So ඒක නිසා අර අපි කතා කරේ කලින් මෙතන අපි කතා කරන්නේ within which period on the larval stage of the mosquito කියන එක නිසා you can take only the larval stage. pupa එක ගන්න එපා නේ. එතකොට මොකද දීලා තියෙනවා නිසස් පුතේ කියලා larval stage කියලා එක. Right. If eggs are not attached, if the eggs are not hatched, they can undergo dormant speed up to 6 months neither. Not 3 months, it's 6 months, right? Eggs hatch within 3 days. To become larvae, no. It hatches within 2 days. The weather. 2 days, ne? 2 days to become larvae, right? 2 days. Right. So third one is the answer. Okay. Let's see some more. If you get dengue high fever, warning signs occur 3 to 7 days after the first symptoms. ඒ කියන්නේ මේ ඩෙන්ගු ෆීවර් එකේ symptoms ආවා කියලා හිතන්නකෝ. අන්න ඒ ඇවිල්ලා දවස් 3-4කට පස්සේ. Right? So after you get these symptoms, initially podi normal dengue fever symptoms ඇවිල්ලා දවස් 3-4කට පස්සේ තමයි ඇදෙන්නේ dengue high fever. The second and third both are correct, okay? The second and third both are correct. Right. Right, try this as well. Right, this is an easy one, right? Say the incorrect statement regarding dengue. The vector of the DNA virus is an arbovirus. Yes, right. Arbovirus can the viruses which are carried by arthropods, right? Arbovirus. So that's correct. Dengue virus is an RNA virus. Sorry. Right. The DNA virus. The vector of the DNA virus is an arbovirus. So that's wrong. DNA virus and even RNA virus. So arbovirus is, yes, that's correct, but not a DNA virus, right? Right. So that's wrong. Second one, dengue virus is a RNA virus. Yes. 2 species of mosquitoes transmit dengue virus. Yes. Transmission of dengue virus depends on both biotic and abiotic factors. Yes. Biotic factors include the vector, host, and the virus. Abiotic factors include temperature, rainfall, humidity. Dengue epidemics are prevalent in tropical and subtropical areas. Yes, that's also correct. So the first one is the answer. Let's try this. Let's see. Dengue is transmitted by two mosquito species belonging to the same genus. Yes, Aedes aegypti and Aedes albopictus. Humans infected by the dengue virus can be asymptomatic. Yes, they can be asymptomatic. Yes, අතිබ්බ symptomatic or asymptomatic කියලා දෙකම හරි. Only symptomatic patients are carriers and multipliers of the virus. No, both asymptomatic and symptomatic patients are the carriers of the virus. So the answer is the first one. Okay, first one. Only A and B. Okay, right. Then one more question. Try this question. It's a ABCDE one, so send the combination. Let's see, which of the following is not a biological controlling method of the dengue virus, right? So, biological methods වල තියෙන්නේ මොකක්ද? Biological methods වල තියෙන්නේ introducing of the fish and introducing of the fish and the BTA toxin, right? Bacillus thuringiensis israelensis, right? So it's fish and the Bacillus thuringiensis israelensis, or the BTA toxin, and the fish includes guppy, dandy, and Juna tilapia, right? So, not a biological controlling method. Not a biological controlling method. I saw that some of you guys have sent that it is a biological controlling method, right? Not a biological controlling method. So, introduction of juvenile stage of tilapia, that is a biological controlling method. Thermal fogging, no, that's a chemical method. Okay, so that's an answer. Removal of unsaved roof cutters, this is under environmental, right? May environment control methods. That's correct. Introduction of dandy and usage of BTA toxin. So B and C is the answer, which is 5. Okay, so I think most of you got it wrong because you did not read the question properly. Okay, be careful. Okay, be careful. Right. Then let's move into file area. So I hope these questions were clear, right? So monkey questions got to discuss and as promised, More questions will also be discussed. Okay, right. So file එක නම් එච්චර ගොඩාක් නෑ. and මේක ඇත්තටම ඕන නැති දේවල් ගොඩාක් තියෙනවා. ඒට ඕන නැති දේවල් ගොඩාක් තියෙනවා. ඒක නිසා බලමුකෝ අපි. right. file area. Filariasis or මේ file area කියන lymphatic filariasis කියලා because it's associated with the lymphatic system. Okay, file area වලට කියන්නේ lymphatic filariasis කියලා because it's associated with the lymphatic system. So filariasis is one of the oldest debilitating diseases in the world. What does debilitating mean? What does debilitating mean? ඒ වචන දැක්කම බය දන්නේ. දැක්කම කියද්දි debilitating. What does debilitating mean? Yes, right. They are like, it makes you very weak, right? Basically, they are like very lethal, right? Very lethal diseases. So now debilitating diseases can very weak or the diseases that make you very, very weak. Yeah, deadly diseases, right? Deadly diseases are now mainly a bit debilitating diseases can, right? Debilitating health can, so again, debilitating disease can deadly, right? It's deadly, but filariasis does not kill. Okay, it does not kill. It just makes you impaired. Right, this is one of the major leading causes of permanent and long-term disability. It does not kill people. It does not kill people because but causes permanent disability. Right, it is also mosquito-borne disease transmitted by a thread-like nematode. Right, thread-like nematode who lives in the human lymphatic system. Right, these are important. So, is it transmitted by a virus? No, it's transmitted by a thread-like nematode who lives in the human lymphatic system. The disease is endemic. It's endemic to developing countries with poor socio-economic status, right? It's endemic to developing countries with poor socio-economic status. Socio-economic status again, එච්චර develop නැති public health එච්චර හොඳටම නැති countries වල this is an endemic disease. Okay, and no, elephantiasis and filariasis is not the same thing. Elephantiasis is a symptom of filariasis. Right, and is often associated with poor environment sanitation. So our public health වගේ දේවල් ගොඩක් අඩු countries වල this is an endemic disease. Filariasis has been characterized as a neglected tropical disease. Right, 90% of infections are caused by Wuchereria bancrofti. This is very, very important. Right, Wuchereria bancrofti. Right, Wuchereria bancrofti is the nematode. This is a අන්න හරි බරවා කියන්නේ ඔකට තමයි. බරවා කියන්නේ filaria වල තමයි. Right, so nematode, Wuchereria bancrofti is a nematode and 90% of the infection. So again, nematode විතර නෙමෙයි 100%. You sometimes get 10% other infectious agents as well, but 90% of the time it's a nematode called Wuchereria bancrofti, and human is the exclusive host for the Wuchereria bancrofti. යා හැදෙන්නේ humans ලගේ එකේ විතර. හැදෙන්නේ ඔයාට ඉන්න පුළුවන් humans ලගේ එකේ විතර. That's why we are called the exclusive host, right? We are the exclusive host. Okay, right. The vector in Sri Lanka, it is transmitted solely by the but it's Culex mosquito again. Culex quincofasciatus. Right? Quincofasciatus. I think that's the spellings. So Culex quincofasciatus mosquito is the vector. Dengue වලට it was the Aedes aegypti and Aedes albopictus. මෙතන Culex quincofasciatus. Right. And you can see the difference. Culex breeds in polluted water bodies. Mosquitoes or Aedes breeds in clear unpolluted water bodies. Megolo in polluted water bodies, which include blocked drains, blocked toilet pits, and husk pits. Okay. Right. On the many important. Culex mosquito is small to medium size, 3 to 7 millimeters in length. What was the size of the dengue mosquito? What was the size of the dengue mosquito? 3 to 4. අර කීයද? 4 to 7 millimeters. Good. So 3 to 4 and 4 to 7. So we're going to statement the Aedes mosquito is larger than the Culex mosquito. Then that is correct. Okay. And gray black in color. So gray black in color And the nerve edge of the wings. Nerve edge of the wings can basically, if you get the wings like this, or you get the nerve edges running in the wings, right? So the nerve edge of the wings, right? Nerve edge of the wings of the adult mosquito are beset with brown and blackish scales, and the posterior margin of the wings is fringed with bristles and scales. Females lay egg in the form of egg grafts. Arayage singly. Meage egg grafts. Okay. That floats on the surface of the water. So it floats on the surface of the water. And another difference. Araya, it laid Araya again. Aedes aegypti. Right? Aedes. Yeah, Aedes aegypti or Aedes albopictus. Aedes mosquito laid eggs above the surface of water on the inner surface of wet containers. Mea lays egg grafts, Araya singly, mea egg grafts, and floats on the surface of water. After hatching, larvae rests keeping the body with an angle to the water surface. So to if they ask you to describe or state a similarity between this Aedes mosquito and the Culex mosquito, you can tell that the larval stage or larvae rests keeping its body with an angle to the water surface. Nervaceous of the wings කියන්නේ when you consider leaf එකට veins තියෙන්නේ. Veins තියෙන්නේ. අන්න ඒ වගේ these wings have nerve edges. ඉන්න මම පොත එකක් තියෙන්නේ. Right, so this is a Culex mosquito, okay? And so you can see the bristles and the scales and all that. Right? These are the bristles. The big posterior one is fringed with bristles and scales. So you can see the bristles and all that here. And nerve just can may wing එක. This is the wing. Nerve just can may nerve just can. These are what you call the nerve edges. Right? So they are fringed with these brown scales and all that, right? Those are the nerve edges of the wing. Now this is the mosquito. Okay. Right. Okay. So this is a similarity. This is a similarity, and this is important. Okay. Make chutta mother similarity. And you might get a structure, they say, even a past paper or one of my papers stating you to write the difference between the Aedes mosquito and the Culex mosquito with respect to their eggs. Area singly, may in drafts, may floats on the surface of the water area. But above the water level on the inner side of the wet containers, and may on polluted water or on unpolluted water. Right. Then you get factors associated with transmission, and this is very, very important. Right? Factors associated with transmission, this is important. So the factors which are associated with transmission include transmission in a community is influenced by the number of infected persons. So the number of infected persons, if they are increased, or the basically the prevalence of the disease. The prevalence of the disease, if it is high in that certain community, then it will transmit quickly. Then අපේ දන්න අපේ ගෙවල් පැත්තේ මිනිස්සු ගොඩාක් ඉන්නවා ඩෙන්ගු හැදිච්ච ෆයිලරියා හැදිච්ච then it spreads quickly. This mosquito will bite and bite and bite and go into biting other people as well. So it spreads quickly. Density of microfilaria in the blood of the infected person. So maybe microfilaria can kata ganna then, but just know that this is like the larval stage of the how they the nematode, Buchereria bancrofti initial larval stage. Okay, so this microfilaria, if there is a large amount of microfilaria in your blood, that means that there is a higher chance of you infecting another person when this mosquito bites you. Density of vector mosquitoes, yes. Gewalpathi madura වැඩි නම් anyway the transmission rate would increase, right? Gewalpathi madura වැඩි නම් anyway transmission rate වැඩි වෙනවා. Characteristics of the vector, right? So if the vector is well adapted to that environmental conditions, or if the vector can survive in those environmental conditions well, then again the transmission increases. Frequency of vector human contact. Again, maduro kochadians better than if they are not biting any human, right? So for the disease to spread, they need to bite humans. So if the frequency of the vectors biting the humans increase, the disease transmission will increase. But if not, it will not increase, right? So those factors, so transmission, they are very important. Remember them. Okay, MCQ in 2024. In 2024, you got an MCQ with this as well. So that's very important. Remember it. Right. Now we'll be going into the important section. Methods of transmission. Filariasis parasite is introduced to the human body by a bite of a female adult mosquito, right? By the bite of a female adult mosquito. When the mosquito sucks blood from the humans, larval stage of the parasite falls onto the skin, right? So larval stage of the parasite falls onto the skin. Do not inoculate into the body as other mosquito-borne disease. They do not directly enter to the blood of the host via the mosquito. Okay? When this mosquito bites the human, the larval stage of the parasite fall onto the skin. They fall onto the skin. Right? They do not directly go into the blood via the mosquito. That's important. Then these larvae penetrate the skin through the bite wound. So then they enter the body through the bite wound and enter the human vascular system. So enter the blood circulatory system of the humans. From here, the larvae migrate to the lymphatic system. So they migrate to the lymphatic system. And within 1 year, they become matured into the adult worms. What is the name of the adult? What is the name of the adult? What do we call this adult worm? Name, Evan? What do you call the name of the adult worm? Yes, Evan? The name of the adult worm is Buchereria bancrofti. W should be capital. And if you're writing it, remember to underline it, or else you won't get marks, right? Buchereria bancrofti. Adult worm can nematode, right? They are talking about the nematode. Right? They are talking about the nematode. The nematode. Right. Adult male and female worms nests and mate in the lymphatic system, right? On the Culex mosquito bit the skin, then the larval stages of the virus or the worm fell into the skin. Then through the bite wound, they penetrated into the body and entered your circulatory system. Then the larvae migrates to the human lymphatic system, because anyway the circulatory system and the lymphatic system are connected to each other. And in the lymphatic system, they become adult worms or adult nematodes. Then adult male and female mosquito nests and mates. They mate in the lymphatic vessels and produce large number of tiny immature eggs. And these eggs hatch into the microfilaria, right? So a life cycle of nematode. The life cycle of the mosquito. Basically, nematode will give rise to the eggs. Eggs will hatch into the microfilaria. And the microfilaria become the larvae. Okay? So my microfilaria right? In our body, you get the nematodes, yes, but what's causing these infections and all that is basically mainly this microfilaria, right? Yeah, mainly in okay. Then microfilaria migrate from the lymphatic system and enter the bloodstream, right? Oh, now this is important. So they migrate. The adult worms are present in the lymphatic system, and these eggs are in the lymphatic system, and they hatch in the lymphatic system, but they migrate from the lymphatic system and enter the bloodstream and they live in the lungs during the daytime and travel to the peripheral blood during the night. Okay, in the lungs during the daytime and peripheral blood vessels can another. Peripheral blood vessels are basically the blood vessels which are supplying blood to your skin and all that, right? Your outermost blood vessels are called the peripheral blood vessels. Okay, so from the lungs during the day and at night they enter the peripheral blood vessels. From here they transfer to mosquito when they take a blood meal from the human body. So make a basically if the mosquito bites you during the daytime, is there a higher possibility of the mosquito getting the microfile area or lower possibility of getting the microfile area when the mosquito bites during the daytime? Lower or high? Yes, right. Lower. IA because at night during the daytime they are in the lungs. But අපිට කියන්න බෑනේ 100% ඔක්කොම යනවා කියලා. Still there might be present in the blood, but mainly it's in the lungs. And අයියෝ ළමයා අහන්න එපා ඇයි කියලා. Why do they enter the lungs during the daytime? මන් දන්නෙත් නෑ. Right? යනවා කියලා කියනවා ඉතින්. Okay, I don't know why they enter the lungs. But I don't know. Okay. අහලා කියන්න. නේද? අහලා කියන්න අනිවා. Right, but I don't know actually. Okay. So and in the peripheral blood vessels during night. So if they bite, the mosquito bites you at night, then there's a higher possibility of the microfilaria entering the mosquito. Right. Then the ingested microfilaria transform into several larval stages. So microfilaria transform into larval stages, and again another bite wound they enter the human body. Okay, so that's how they are transmitted, right? The method of transmission. Okay. මේ තියෙන symptoms and all that. මෙතන අර ඕන නැති දේවල් ගොඩාක් තියෙනවා. අපි නිකම් බලාගෙන යමු. Okay. Adult worms live in the lymphatic system for 5 to 6 years, and microfilaria can live for 1 year. When adult worms block the lymphatic vessels, they get disorder. So adult worms too, they can grow very large in size between these 5 to 6 years. And when they grow large in size, these lymphatic vessels are getting blocked. When they are blocked, the lymphatic system does not function properly, and the lymph flow does not occur properly. Right? The lymph flow does not occur properly. When that happens, the lymph now lymph කියන්නේ මොනවාද? The blood plasma leaks out from the blood capillaries, and that plasma and the interstitial fluid is taken into the lymphatic system as lymph. So now the lymph flow does not occur properly, and the lymphatic system does not function properly. එහෙම වුණා මොකද්ද වෙන්නේ? එහෙම වුණා වෙන්නේ the leaking blood plasma or the lymph which is supposed to move into the lymphatic system is now not moving into the lymphatic system. එහෙනම් මොකද්ද වෙන්නේ? The lymph or the excessive blood plasma and the interstitial fluid gets accumulated in different parts of your body. Basically, they settle under gravity. Right? So settle under gravity ගත්තාම basically just imagine you standing එකක් තමයි අත්වල in your hands, basically sorry, in your arms, if this occurs, your hands will get this lymph accumulated, right? And then kakul වලට යනවා because under gravity they settle at the bottom, right? Lymph will settle at the bottom. So it's the legs, hands, testes, penis, they are at the bottom in the middle, right? So the legs, hands, testes, penis, and breast causes lymphedema. Again, in the breast also it can be collected. Okay, so lymph edema, lymphedema. This is like a sandhya, vachana sandhya, lymph and edema. Edema කියන වචනේ තිබ්බ කලින් මේකනේ මෙතන lymphedema spelling with මෙතන O එකක් ඉන්න ඕනේ. කොයි where is the word edema? නෑ අවුලන edema නෑ. So edema කියන්නේ මේකට. edema, right? edema කියන්නේ අර ඉදිමෙනවට, right? ඉදිමෙනවට. lymph කියන්නේ basically lymphedema කියන්නේ when lymph accumulates in these body parts, when lymph accumulates in these body parts, they will swell up, right? ඕගොල්ලන්ට ඔන්න ඔය ගොඩාක් මහන්සි වුණ දවසක වගේ නැත්නම් අම්මලාට තාත්තලාට තියෙනවා ඇති. මේ edema accumulation. Basically ඔය කකුලේ එහෙම වෙද්දි just නිකන් ඔබලා බලන්න එතන ඔබලා බලන්න. ඔබලා බැලුවම ඇඟිල්ල අස්සට ගිහිලා තියෙනවා. එහෙම දැකලා තියෙනවද ඔයගොල්ලෝ? ඔබලා බැලුවම ඇඟිල්ල මේ ඇඟිලි finger print එක ඇතුළට ගිහිලා තියෙනවා. That's basically lymph has accumulated in that area, and lymph is a fluid නේ. We call it pitting edema. අපි කියන්නේ pitting edema. Pitting කියන්නේ pitting නෙමෙයි pitting. පිට් එකක් හැදෙනවා. පිට් එකක්. පිටින් edema කියලා ඒකට කියන්නේ. So lymphedema කියන්නේ edema due to lymph accumulation. So edema occurs due to other ඒවත් තියෙනවා. But pitting edema is the main one or basically lymphedema තමයි mainly වෙන්නේ මේ lymph accumulate වුණාම edema හැදෙනවා. Okay? edema කියන්නේ ඉදිම වෙනවා. Right. So when microfilaria lives in the lungs, patient develops dry cough, wheezing, mild fever, weight loss. So these are the characteristics that occur when the microfilaria live in the lungs. So basically they damage your lungs. So it's got a dry cough, wheezing, mild fever, and weight loss, right, might occur. Fluid accumulation in scrotum manifests as hydrocele. So basically in the scrotum, if edema or if edema occurs in the scrotum or if lymph accumulates in the scrotum, we call it hydrocele, right? If it accumulates in the scrotum, we call it hydrocele. Presence of microfilaria in lungs manifests as occult filariasis, right? Occult filariasis can basically when these microfilaria are present in your lungs. Okay, so microfilaria being present in your lungs is called occult filariasis. Occult filariasis is characterized by high eosinophilic count with chronic cough and wheezing, which worsens at night with dyspnea, chest pain, fever, and weight loss. What does dyspnea mean? Who knows what dyspnea means? What does dyspnea mean? Anyone who knows what dyspnea is? Dyspnea again, මොකක්ද? Yes, anyone? What does dyspnea mean? Yeah, shortness of breath, right? Dyspnea again, shortness of breath, right? So you get shortness of breath, chest pain, fever, weight loss during occult filariasis. Occult filariasis can when this microfilaria is present in your lungs. Okay. Then clinical manifestations vary from asymptomatic to chronic lymphedema. Elephantiasis. Let me show you elephantiasis. Another class you take, yeah, 20 minutes more. Show you what elephantiasis means. This is what we call elephantiasis, right? You can see how the lymph has accumulated in the legs, right? The lymph has accumulated in the legs and it has causes edema. And elephantiasis can basically chronic lymphedema. Chronic and acute. What's the difference between chronic and acute? Yes. What is the difference between chronic and acute? You find another picture as well. Difference between chronic and acute, yes. These you need to know, okay? Yeah, right. So chronic can basically persistent for a long time, right? So if this lymphedema occurs for a long time, we call it chronic lymphedema, and if it's like occurring suddenly in short episodes, we call it acute. Right? So chronic nang call it like it's like long term. Acute nang it's like short episodes, sudden episodes. Okay. Surgery වලින් lymph අයින් කරන්න පුළුවන්, but as long as the microfilaria and the worms are living in your body, you can't think do something, right? You need to kill the worms first. Even though you take out the lymph, they will start accumulating again as long as the lymphatic system is not functioning properly, right? So this is called elephantiasis. Elephantiasis. Right. After entering the human body, the filaria parasite develops into an adult worm and remains silent in the lymphatics for several years, producing microfilaria. So L3 larva L3 larvae is one which produces the adult worm. අපි කතා කරන්නේ මෙතන larvae කියලා. Right? Larvae කියලා. So L3 larvae, just remember that is the stage of the larvals. දැන් අර මෙතන තියෙනවානේ මේ transforms into several larval forms කියලා. So L3 larvae ගැන පොඩ්ඩක් මතක තියාගන්න, right? So filarial parasite L3 larvae develops in adult worm and remains silent in the lymphatic for several years producing microfilaria. These patients are asymptomatic and can only be detected through active surveillance, right? So presence of adult parasite in lymphatic system for a long period of time gives rise to late manipulation. මෙතන තියෙන ටික නෑ අත්‍තරම කිසිම තේරුමක් නෑ. හරියට කියන්නේ තේරෙන්නේ. So late manifestations, they are due to dilation of lymphatic vessels followed by the dysfunction accumulation of fluid in tissues, increased risk of infection. With recurrent infection, skin of odometers, extremities become thick and later give rise to bone and papillomatous appearance. Lymphedema is greater instead of edema present of skin. ඕන කිසිම තේරුවක් නැහැ. right? මම කියන්නේ මේක ලොකුවට බලන්න තැපයි මට තේරෙන්නේ නැත්නම් මොකක්ද කියන්නේ කියලා. මේ but just know what happens generally මොකක්ද වෙන්නේ කියලා දැනගන්න. right? but මේක නම් ඇත්තටම මට තේරෙන්නේ නැහැ මොනවද මම කියන්න හදන්නේ කියලා. okay ඒක නිකන් එක ඒවා එන තැන එක තැනකට අරන්. okay right. So අපි controlling measures වලට යන්කෝ. You had sent some questions නේ. Yeah, so they move to the lung according to these changes in the body. Yeah, maybe. Basically, a female adult mosquito suckles blood and the larvae is deposited in the skin and goes into the vascular system. Yes, and 1 year later they become adult worms. Yes, and the adult male mates with the adult female. This is the process. Am I wrong? No, yes, that's the process. Okay, I'll just go through it again once after this part. Okay. Right, controlling measures. Personal protection from mosquito bites, of course, yes. Elimination of breeding sites, yes. Prevention of creation of breeding sites, yes. Use of larvivorous fish, this is also important. On a biological method, yeah. Biological method, yeah. So, අරයාගේ තිබ්බ කවුද? අරයාගේ තිබ්බ මාළු තුන් දෙනාගේ නම කියන්න බෑ. What are the 3 fish that was used to control the dengue vector? Yes. What are the 3 fish? Dundi. කවුද ඩුන්ඩි කියන්නේ? Dandy. Dundi. It's guppy, dandy and juvenile stages of tilapia. Okay. Dundi කියලාගෙන නැහැ. Right, okay. Use of larvivorous fish. Larvivorous fish කියන්නේ basically fish who eat larvae such as guppy and nala හඬය. Right? Guppy මෙතන ඉන්නේ guppy and nala හඬය කියලා. Okay. Screening healthy population with night blood films, right? Why do you need to obtain night blood films? And that's important, okay? Why do you need to obtain night blood films? Because in the daytime, these microfilaria enter the lungs, then at night they enter the peripheral blood vessels and detect people who harbor the infection but don't show any symptoms and treat them. Monitor vector mosquito population for infectivity. Filaria is curable. Yes, filaria is curable, but it's curable if it's identified early. Right? It's curable if it's identified early. But parak wenna, it's very difficult to cure. Okay, if it's identified early, like the main point again. So detect people who harbor the infection but do not show any symptoms and treat them. So you can cure them, but as it gets worse, it's difficult to cure. Okay. Right, limitations of controlling methods, lack of sufficient knowledge among people about the disease, the vector, method of transmission, breeding sites, and controlling measures. Right. So I may make a little quickly summarize karanam. Transmission is by when these adult female Culex mosquito bites the skin. What happens is the larval stage of the larvae falls on the skin. Then through the bite wound, these larvae enter the vascular system or the human circulatory system. Then from the circulatory system, they from the circulatory system, they what they do is they migrate to the lymphatic system. Then what happens is after 1 year, yeah, within 1 year, the larvae becomes matured into adult worms. Then the adult male and the females will mate and produce eggs, right? Tiny immature eggs in the lymphatic system. They hatch into microfilaria, and the microfilaria will not be in the lymphatic system. They will be in the lungs during the daytime, and at night they will move into the peripheral blood vessels. Then, when a mosquito bites that human again, they will take the microfilaria, and the microfilaria will undergo several larval stages and become the larvae and infect another person when that mosquito bites another person. Okay. Why can't the immune system detect its presence? The immune system can detect its presence, but viral diseases and මේ වගේ diseases immune system එකට ඇත්තටම control ගන්න අමාරුයි. That immune system cannot control these viral infections and the diseases like these. It's very difficult. Female mosquito lays larvae on the skin, then does larvae penetrate. So මෙහෙම නෙවෙයි. So when the mosquito bites the skin, the larvae folds, deposit කරනවා නෙමෙයි. The larvae just folds on the skin from the mosquito. Then ඒ වෙලාවෙ යනවත් දන්නෙත් නැහැ. ඊට පස්සේ යනවත් දන්නෙත් නැහැ. ඒක නම් I don't know. But anyway, it just moves into the bite wound. You don't need to know when it goes in. Just know that it moves into the bite wound. Right, so was it clear? Was it clear? File area, is it clear? What about the others? Peripheral blood means the blood which are located towards the corners of your body or more towards your skin. The blood which is located more towards your skin is called the peripheral blood. Let's quickly do some questions then. Right, this is from the 2021 A-level paper, 50th question. Dengue vector එකටයි filaria vector එකටයි දෙකටම. පොත බලලා කරන්න බෙසම. Okay, I'm getting answers. Send me answers, everyone. Quickly one. Well, we have some more questions to do. Right. Which of the following could be used to control the dengue vector as well as malaria vector? Construction of buildings without roof cutters? No. This specifically make a deal only under dengue. Right? You can just take a look at it in the book. Specifically make a deal only under dengue. Right? Arake deal construction of these prevent breeding sites which are preventing of the construction of breeding sites. But make roof cutters specifically deal only in dengue. Mosquito proofing of domestic wells. That's again under dengue name. Because methana you don't get it, right? අනේ මේක මෙතන තියෙනවා මෙතන තියෙනවද ඒක කොහෙන්ද බලන්න නෑ නේ මෙතන නෑ yeah mosquito nets පාවිච්චි කරන්න මෙතන නෑ but here you get නේ use of mosquito nets you get here oh sorry mosquito proofing of domestic wells ah sorry my bad person protection elimination of breeding sites එක තියෙන්න ඕනේ and protection නෑ මෙතන නෑ මෙතන තියෙනවා mosquito proofing of water storage cement tanks and domestic wells ah yes so it's there so only under dengue එක තමයි right so අර දැන් මේ වගේ දේවල් හිතෙන්න ඉතින් අර දෙකටම එනවා වගේ දේවල් but in the resource book it's given only under dengue so එතකොට you have to take it from that okay preventing creation of vector breeding sites that's of course in both right ඒක මේකෙත් තිබ්බනේ ඉතින් preventing creation of breeding sites ඒක අරගෙත් තිබ්බා use of fish that feed on the mosquito larvae yes so dengue වලට it's guppy dandy and juvenile stages of tilapia මෙතන filaria වලට it's guppy and alahanda repairing broken septic tanks. It was here, ne? Maybe repair broken septic tanks. මෙතන තිබ්බද? නෑ, septic tanks තමයි මෙතන නෑ. Right, so a question එක very tricky and I think most of the students might have got it wrong because මේ කොමිනිකන් දෙකම දාලා වගේනේ. But C and D is the only two common ones given in the resource book. Okay, so C and D it's the fourth one. Right, so we have one more question I think from the past papers. 40th question from the 2024 A level. Try this. Yes, I want everyone to answer. Right. Let's see which of the following are associated transition of filaries within the community. So the conditions to complete the daily bunny. Marine factors associated transition. Transition in the community is influenced by number of infected persons, density of microfilaria in the blood of infected persons, density of vector mosquitoes, characteristic of vectors, frequency of human vector contact. Okay, very important here. So frequency of human vector contact, yes. Density of microfilaria in the infected mosquito, no. In the infected person, not the mosquito. Number of infected persons, yes, ne, yeah, number of infected persons. First point. That's correct. Characteristics of the vector, yes, that is also there. So ACD, fourth one is the answer. Okay, so those two are actually somewhat difficult past paper questions where if you don't know or if you haven't studied the lesson, you actually would not score well. But if you actually studied, මේක එහෙම අර conditions පහ අර නිකන් අය ඔය transmission of filariasis within the community factors පහ දැනන් හිටියත් you just get 1 mark, right? So ඒ වගේ just don't give up the lesson because 2 MCQs ඔක එච්චර අමාරුත් නැහැ. Okay, right, let's see some more questions. These are model questions. Okay. Yes, okay, let's see. Oculate filariasis is characterized by එළින් මෙතන දීලා තියෙනනේ උග. Within oculate filariasis is characterized by high eosinophilic count with chronic cough and wheezing, which worsens at night with dyspnea, chest pain, fever, and weight loss. එහෙනම් elephantiasis නෑ. Fever තිබ්බද? ඒක තියෙනවානේ. So 2 is correct නේ. Dyspnea. Mild fever තියෙන්නේ. fever තියෙනවා dry cough නෑනේ. Fever තියෙනවා dry cough නෑ. Mild fever කියලා කියන්න බෑ. It's just fever කියලා තියෙන්නේ. ඒක අවුලක් නෑ. Yeah, dry cough isn't a symptom නේ. Dyspnea තියෙනවා, fever තියෙනවා, dry cough නෑ. Weight loss, mild fever. Third එකේ mild fever උත් නෑ, elephantiasis උත් නෑ. Right? මෙතන කොහොමද fever එක අවුලක් නෑ, but අතන mild fever එක වැරදි and elephantiasis වැරදි. Wheezing, dry cough and fever, again dry cough නෑ. Chest pain, weight loss and dyspnea. That's the answer. So මේ dry cough එකෙන් නෑ. Why does dry cough occur? Why does dry cough occur? Why does dry cough occur? Why does it occur? It occurs when the microfilaria enter the lungs. Yes, good. When microfilaria lives in the lungs, patients develop dry cough. Okay, dry cough, wheezing, mild fever, weight loss. They are when microfilaria lives in the lungs, right? But oculate filariasis is venom symptoms. Okay, right. Let's see. I need 3 more questions. Try this one and quickly send me your answers. No, no. Microfilaria is in the lungs, yes, but it becomes occult filariasis. Oh, no, occult filariasis is like one of the main symptoms when the microfilaria is in the lungs. Okay, occult filariasis is like one of the symptoms when they are in the lungs. Is occult filariasis වලින් වෙනම symptoms ටිකක් තියෙනවා. ඒකයි එතන මෙන්න. Right, let's see the correct statement regarding filariasis. Clinical manifestations of filaria vary from asymptomatic to elephantiasis. Yes, that's correct. Asymptomatic වෙන්න පුළුවන් and this person might be having elephantiasis. Filaria can always be detected by symptoms from the moment the parasite enters the body. No, even for years, the parasite might not be detected, right? Occult filariasis is the manifestation of the presence of microfilaria in the scrotum nemi in the lungs. What manifests when the lymph is collected in the scrotum? Hydrocele, right? Hydrocele. When lymph is collected in scrotum. Adult worm can live in the lymphatic system for 4 to 6 years. It's 5 to 6 years. 90% of filariasis is infections are caused by not the Culex mosquito, by the Buchereria bancrofti nematode. Okay, try this quickly. ප්‍රශ්න දෙකයි තියෙන්නේ. And there's a නිකන් feeling එකක් එනවා when you guys get a typical bio question wrong. So that the question is a good one actually. So this is a typical bio question. Say the correct answer based on the following statements regarding the host and the parasite of filariasis. The parasite causing filariasis is Wucheria bancrofti name. It's Wucheria bancrofti. So A is wrong. Is Wucheria, not Wucheria. Wucheria. Name Wucheria. Let me show it to you. Again, Wucheria. 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 Right? Not Wucheria. So the spellings are wrong in that. Again, it's wrong. B, human is exclusive host of W blank of TS. So A is incorrect, B is correct. Okay, so fourth one is the answer. So these are like typical bio questions where you miss නිකම් මේක උච්ච කියලා දෙද්දී උච්ච රේඩියා කියලා නිකම් ඔහේ කියවනවා. You don't just pay attention to the important details, right? So make sure to pay attention to the important details and read the question well before answering. Right. Try this. This is the last question. Right, let's see. So, incorrect statements. So, both Aedes and Culex mosquitoes are small to medium size. Yes, small to medium size. Yes, may are 4 to 7 millimeters. Culex, what the 3 to 4. Okay. 3 to 4. Okay. May are 3 to 4 millimeters. So both of them are still small to medium size in medium sized. Lifetime of Aedes mosquito depends on the environmental conditions. Yes, it depends on both biotic and abiotic factors. Lifetime of Aedes mosquito depends on environment. Sorry, make it again. Lifetime of Aedes mosquito depends on environment conditions. Yes, so Aedes mosquitoes need these unpolluted water, clear water, dark colored places uh, to lay their eggs, right? So of course it does depend. Culex mosquitoes are black in color. No, that's wrong. They are what color? What color are the Culex mosquitoes? Yes. What color are the Culex mosquitoes? They are gray black in color. Yes, good. They are gray black in color. So that's wrong. So black in color when කවුද අරගොල්ලෝනේ? Aedes mosquitoes, right? Aedes mosquitoes are black in color, right? Uh, yeah, I know. Dark in color here. Black to dark. Right? Black to dark in color. Right. Okay. So the answer is the third one, right? R only. Okay. So was it clear? I know I took 40 extra minutes, but was it clear? I want to do this section well because it's important. So was it clear? How was it? Yes, I was clear. You mean you are clear or I'm clear? Right. Okay. Uh, okay, then we'll end the meeting for today. So today the sections that we covered were the rest of the food preserving, then the post-harvest losses, and then the main section was dengue and filaria, and that section is important. So try to do these MCQs again. There are a lot of questions you can do here. So try them again. And next week we'll finish out the lesson with nanotechnology, uh, human genome project, and stem cell therapy, right? So those three are also very important actually. So we'll finish out the lesson with those three, and then with that, the syllabus is complete for the 25 minutes, right? So, okay then, see you guys in the next session. Good night and thank you for joining.